What's up?
We are live on here. I was gonna ask you, did you watch the Risen fight?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think of the show?
It's a typical Pride show, man. Things that a lot of things that fans want to see. That kind of circus effect. Some good fights. You know, a lot of new things. I think for someone who's been in the Japanese MMA longer would be more interested because there's a lot of people in the Japanese MMA that were making switchovers to from kickboxing to MMA and stuff. So it was pretty interesting for a Japanese fan.
Yeah, I thought the production looked really, really good in the very beginning. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa, this is legitimately like Pride. You know, I can't say that the fights were like Pride, but the production was.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Those Sakaki Bara is like one of the best at making it like a movie-like production. You know, the entrance, the beginning, the whole fireworks plays and everything.
Yeah. My best friend actually wanted me to ask you this. What do you think about Fedor and his role in MMA and, you know, his position and stuff like that? Like, what are your thoughts on Fedor personally?
I think he's a great fighter. He's not as good as everyone puts him to be, you know, like this untouchable guy, as we saw in Dan Henderson's fight. And I think he lost to, what's his name? He's a UFC champ now. But
Verdum?
Verdum, you know, so he's definitely not that fighter that they put him out to be, but he's definitely, I think he's good enough to beat any of the top fighters on any given night.
Yeah, he's one of the top guys. I wanted to ask you, actually, I was interested. Was that a fight that was ever, you know, I mean, obviously that was a fight you were probably interested in. Like, did that ever come close to happening?
I was always trying to fight the best person in the world, you know, as everyone, I don't know if everyone knows, but when I was in Pride, I picked all my fights. A lot of guys get told who to fight, but I think in my situation, I was one of the few fighters that actually called the shots with Pride. I picked my own fighters. I picked all the people that were the best of their time. You know, when I fought Heat Hearing, he just beat Tom Erickson. When I fought Nogueira, he was the Pride champ. When I fought Mark Kerr, he just beat Ugo Duarte and was like known as one of the most ferocious fighters. When I fought Igor, he just knocked out Francisco Bueno. But the time when Fedor started coming up, I was already trying to move out of heavyweights because it's after the Nogueira fight. So I wanted to fight more in the, you know, I was eyeing myself more on Vanderlei Silva, you know. And I was actually at the end where after the Igor fight, I pretty much knew that there was nothing more that I would learn in the ring as a man. So I was actually planning to move on and retire. And I wanted Vanderlei Silva. As far as Fedor, when he was coming up, I was moving out of the heavyweight division. He was definitely a fight that I would entertain, but it never really got into any situation where there was actually talks about it.
Okay. Let me really quickly call that the test.
Okay.
So we'll take a little break and let me just make sure that
recorded.
I'm gonna play it right here.
I wanted Vanderlei Silva. As far as Fedor, when he was coming up, I was moving out of the heavyweight division. It was definitely a fight that I would entertain, but it never really got into any situation where there was actually talks about it.
Okay. Let me really quickly call that the test. Did you pick that up on your side?
Yeah.
All right, we're looking good then, man. Okay, before I start this back up. Okay, I'm gonna hit it and keep talking. Okay, so you fought Nogueira instead of Vanderlei, right? That's kind of what happened there.
Yeah. What many people probably don't know about the fight with Nogueira was up until a month before that. It was all the discussion of me fighting Vanderlei Silva. I was already kind of semi-retired at the time, yeah, because I fought Igor. After I fought Igor, I knew that the reason why I fought in the ring wasn't because I wanted to get a belt. The reason why I fought in the ring was because I wanted to test myself and grow as a man, and not necessarily meaning I'm going to fight all fights that I can win and get my win-loss record good. It was more about fighting a fight that I thought that would push me to a limit where I would hit that fear zone, and I would have to become stronger as a person inside to walk through that fear zone with my head up high. So when I fought Igor, I felt, as far as going into the ring and going into that fear zone, going into that state of possibly dying in the ring and being able to, with a strong heart, go through it, I just felt that there was nothing actually greater than what I experienced in Igor's fight. I just thought that it was the closest thing to death. I had a broken finger, broken jaw, perforated eardrum, swollen brain, kidney level 2,000 times the normal man. So for me, I felt that there was nothing more in the ring that I could be tested that would build myself, build my heart, to strengthen my heart as a man. So after the Igor fight, I was pretty much thinking of retirement. The reason why I came back for a hearing fight was because I felt that if I retired, it would be such a sudden thing that I thought I needed to say like a one farewell fight to my fans. And that's why I fought the hearing. After the hearing fight, I grabbed the mic and retired. What brought about another fight was I was actually thinking of enlisting in the military, because after the 9/11 thing, I had a big problem with sitting at home watching scenes of 9/11 and feeling this churn in my heart saying, man, that's fucked up, man. We got to do something about it. Then turning off the TV, walking to a game center down the street and having a great time at the game center. And I felt it was real hypocritical of me. So I felt in my heart, as far as keeping my pride as a man strong, I had to really honestly do something. So I was planning to enlist in the military. And before then, I had that idea that, hey, one more fight in the ring. Because literally, when I retired with hearing, it was like, okay, I'm retired, but you could always maybe come back for one or two. But I thought if I'm going to war, I felt it was probably going to either mean death, coming back disabled, physically or mentally, to a point where I probably couldn't fight again. So I thought that, hey, one last chance to get in the ring, one last chance to, just let it all hang out in what I do best. And I felt the guy I would want to fight in that is Vanderlei Silva. So the negotiations was all about Vanderlei the whole time. It was $200,000 to fight Vanderlei. No win bonus, nothing, just straight up guarantee money is $200,000. And everything was going fine. And I was like sitting back. It was funny because I wanted to fight one more time before going to the military. So we played a little pride. Mr. Sakakibara doesn't know this yet, but he'll know it now. But we played him. We played him big time because I told my manager, they have been wanting me to come out of retirement to a point of staging this thing with Guy Menser, my brother's fight, trying to get me out of retirement. They've been wanting me to get out of retirement. So I knew that. So we used that as the ace up our sleeve. So I had my manager call Pride and tell him that, hey, Enson's going to the military. Let's get him in for one more fight. And so I was playing this side where I'm retired, I'm done, I want to enlist. So they called me and said, hey, Enson, we hear you're going to the military. Do you want to fight one more fight? And I was like, I don't know. Well, if I ever would even consider it, it had to be Vanderlei Silva. So they were like all for it. I don't know if they had a strategy and ended up playing me too, but Vanderlei, okay, Vanderlei it is. And I was laughing on the side because their first offer was $200,000. And I was like, and back in that day, that was huge money. Nowadays it's kind of like a pretty good pay now. It's not like an unreal pay. Back in the day, that was unreal. So I'm sitting there thinking, man, I would have fought Vanderlei for free because I wanted to fight that fight so bad. And I was thinking, man, they're going to pay me 200 on top of that. So for me, it was like a big thing. I like super happy, training hard as hell. And then I get a call from Pride, and they tell me that Vanderlei doesn't want to fight me, which is, I say it's bullshit. I call bullshit because there's no way Vanderlei would not want to fight me. Vanderlei is a beast, and he'll take on all challengers. And Vanderlei, they say they don't want to fight me, so they offered me Nogueira. And I was game to fight Nogueira, but my last fight in the ring, I didn't see it as me trying to defend myself from a submission expert and trying to strategically win the fight. I was more imaging like fireworks, man, standing toe to toe with Vanderlei, getting knocked out or knocking him out, and just like the fireworks. I always imagine like the fireworks. I was just pop pop pop. We're standing toe to toe to a point where the fireworks escalate. So it's like pop 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 pop, and then that finale. The smoke clears and either me or him is standing. That's what I imaged, and that's what I wanted to end my career at. So when they threw me Nogueira, I was like, man, this is a whole different fight. I'm just going to get the best shape of my life, stand toe-to-toe with Vanderlei. Now it's like, okay, now I got to start doing more ground. I got to start defending submissions. Like, it's a whole different training. It's not this thing I wanted to just go in like a beast and just live or die at the toe-to-toe standing, So at first I said no. Forget it then. And they backed off. 3 days later, they called me back and they said, how about if we double your offer? And I'm like, holy shit. And it's like 400,000 to fight to fight Nogueira. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll do it, man. So that's pretty much how it happened, man. I didn't plan to fight Nogueira. I didn't ask to fight Nogueira. I wanted Vanderlei. But again, Nogueira was at the top of this game. He was a Pride champion. And I thought, why not? That's a good consolation for Vanderlei. I'd rather fight Vanderlei, but if not, Nogueira would probably be my next pick. So that's how that kind of came about. So,
man, that would have been an awesome fight. You versus Vanderlei, man. That would have been the fight right there. That would have been you. So
why that would have been a good fight too? It's because I noticed that the only time Vanderlei loses is when he's moving back. Vitor pushed him back. He gets hit in all of his fights. He got dropped by Oyama. He got dropped by Henderson. He got dropped by pretty much everybody he's fought. But because he was moving forward, his recovery so fast that he would transit into a takedown and recover by then. So my strategy would have been to get Vanderlei moving backwards. And you know how crazy that would have to be to get Vanderlei to move backwards? And I don't know if I could have done it, but that's definitely my technique. Yeah, be straight up coming up, blow to blow, like I did with Igor. I backed Igor up, and I can't say I couldn't back up Vanderlei either. I think I could do that too. So,
I mean, I think Igor was definitely a heavier puncher though than Vanderlei. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, but he's a little slower, bigger hooks. Vanderlei's bigger hook. I mean, Vanderlei has huge hooks too, but it's more repetition. Yeah, so I think Vanderlei's a little faster. But it's a little different. I think as far as the punch velocity, I think Igor probably hit harder, but it'll be a total battle, man. It'd be so exciting. Wondering when I'm going to hit him, wondering when he's going to hit me. Am I going to feel that punch knocking him out, or am I going to have lights out turned out on myself?
Yeah, I mean that's I have a coach. He tells me, he's like, all that is man, all that is man is his saying, kind of. And he always said Vanderlei Silva is all that is man. And I told him about you, when we talked, and he was like, that guy is all that is man. I wanted to ask you about this, the quote from your book in the very beginning. It says, a samurai that goes into battle with the will to die will surely live, while the samurai who goes into battle to survive will surely die. where the body may where the body may die, the spirit will rise. I was wondering if you could kind of explain that quote. What it,
I love that quote. It's such a it's not directly understandable until you really think about it, because when you read the first phrase, it's understandable. It doesn't make sense though, because you say that the samurai goes into battle with the will to die will surely live. If you really think about it, if you go into battle with the will to die, you're going on the front line with guns blaring, and you're going to be running out to the enemy, without, with the will to die. If you, I mean, it's not with willing to die. No, it's the will to die. It's a whole different thing. So you're going there almost wanting to die in battle. So you're going to go straight up and have hand-to-hand combat with the guns, knives, whatever, and stand toe to toe. And I'd say if you go into the battle with the will to die, you probably will die. So if you look at that first sentence, like, that doesn't make sense. How would you surely live? Because surely is almost a guarantee. And then you read the next sentence, and still it gets kind of weird. It's the samurai that goes into battle with the concern to survive will surely die. It's like if you go into battle and you be careful, you don't go on the front line, you run in the back, you stay behind the bunkers, you have that concern to survive. There's a good chance you survive, so how would you surely die? But the interesting thing about that quote is that it ties it into the end. And you see the end, it says, where the body may die, the spirit will rise. So what it changes that whole thing into being is a spiritual saying, not a physical saying. Yeah. So if you're a samurai and you go into battle with the will to die, and you fight with the will to die, you fight with everything you got, willing to die, your spirit will rise. Yeah, your spirit will live. You go into battle with that coward attitude, where you let those guys go first and let them die so you can stay safe and be behind, as spiritually, man, you're dead, man. So I love that saying because of that.
yeah, man, I find that to me, it's just an incredible mindset that you have about how everything, it just seemed like your whole life has been this spiritual journey, and you always took the route to grow spiritually rather than if you look at it as like two different realms of, we're living in the material realm and there's the spiritual realm. You kind of went, you went through life focused on the spiritual. And I wanted to ask you, like, tracing back, you from, when you grew up in Hawaii, where did that start from? Where did you get that kind of mindset from? Like, how did you start thinking that way?
I don't know. It's kind of understandable. You figure it's inevitable that the body will die. It's also unsure of what happens after death. Do you just die and disappear? Is there a reincarnation? Is there a spiritual life that goes on? I mean, this is like a big question. I tend to believe that there is a spiritual life after physical life. And I don't know if it's been groomed to me through Hawaii or my parents or what it is, but throughout my life, throughout my experience that I've been through, especially the death of people that are close to me, I've tended to believe that there's two lives. There's a physical life and there's a spiritual life. And as much as we think that 80, 90, 100 years is a long time, compared to eternity, it's a speck. It's a speck compared to eternity. So I believe that all life starts in a speck, and the speck is this physical life. I also believe that the physical life is a gauge and a catapult to catapult you into the eternal life, which is spiritual life. And I believe that everything you do and everything you experience and how you handle the situations you have in your physical life will increase the levels that you will go to and what you will become spiritually. So I always felt that people are so concerned about physical life or what they do when they're alive, not knowing that it's a speck in eternity. And for a real simple example is, most people tend to believe that there's only a physical life. So what is the natural thing to do is to extend your physical life as much as you can by being safe, not taking chances, But for me, because I believe there's a spiritual life, and I believe that the chances I take, if it's for the right reasons, is only going to help me in my spiritual life. It's going to build my spirit into a better person. Will build me closer to nirvana, enlightenment. So, for me, like for it's a good example is like if I see across the street there's a house on fire, and I see a little boy on the second floor. Firefighters don't want to go in, but there's all definitely a way up to get up there and try and save him. There's a 50% chance that you're not going to make it out. There's a 50% chance that you're not going to be able to save the kid. You're both going to die. But there also is that 50% chance that you could actually save that person. For me, I could take one option, not to go into the house. The only problem with doing that is I would always wonder if I could have saved that person. And the only reason why I would decide not to run into the house is because I wouldn't want to shorten my physical life. But I also believe that to run into the house and take that chance and sacrifice your physical life to save the life of a child is a way to enlighten yourself in the physical realm. So I can see myself doing that. I always think that I would never want to sacrifice building my spirit for eternity in the spiritual life, enlightening my spirit for the eternal spiritual life to extend my life in the physical life. So if I see that scenario, I see myself, of course, if the building's like all black and it's falling already and there's no way I would save the kid, it's a whole different story. But I'm talking about this, you look at it and say, hey, shit, I probably could, but I might die. I'm going to go in there. I could see myself running in there and taking that chance. There's also that thing that, man, I would rather, how they have this saying, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And I feel like if I chose not to run in that building and I watched the building burn and then like counting the time, like, holy fuck, there was 3 minutes. The building finally collapsed in 3 minutes. And like, I would be looking at that like, holy shit, I had 3 minutes. I could have saved that kid. Right there, when I realized that, I've fallen to my knees. And to get rid of me walking and living on my knees, I would have to clear that up. And how else would you clear it up? But only way you could do that is rewind that situation and then choose to run in there and take that chance. But you can't do that. So I feel like in that situation, I'd be walking on my knees. And if you read my book, there's a situation at the beginning of my book that I almost feel like I have a lot to make up for, because I feel like in a way I did start off on my knees. Yeah. The first chapter about Danny.
Yeah.
I try to make an excuse in that is because I was so young, I didn't know better. And I'm hoping that that can be an excuse, because if not, I'm still walking on my knees. And I think a big reason why I fight the way I fight, the big reason why I take situations, even Yakuza problems, backing up friends, standing side by family, even if it meant we might die, it's because of that. I feel like I don't know if I have to make up for it or have to prove that I'm not walking on my knees anymore. Because in that situation, man, I tell you, man, I didn't get involved because I was scared. I was scared of getting hurt. I was scared of being hospitalized. And I was scared of feeling the pain of being beaten up by these older kids. But little did I know that now, over 30-something, 3 decades later, the pain is there. I'm still hurting from that incident, even though I chose not to get involved. I mean, I hurt here. I hurt in my heart. I feel like there's something I should have done. Even right now, thinking back at that situation, it churns me inside thinking that, holy shit, I should have done something, man. And I just think about, things that I feared at the time, maybe a broken jaw, maybe a broken leg, maybe a concussion, maybe a bloody lip, maybe a bloody nose, broken nose, whatever, how bad it could have got. But in 3 decades, man, I 100% know those injuries would have been healed by now. But this injury that I have inside here still hasn't healed, man.
You actually talk a lot about things that you're willing to die for, you know, spiritual growth as well as your virtues, your four virtues, and your Yamato Damashi family as well. Um, when did you like define those things? Like, how did that come about? Because you said you're absolutely 100% positive you're willing to die for those things, right?
Yes, no doubt in my mind, man. No doubt in my mind. I don't know when it started. I mean, I didn't walk away from Danny's incident saying, okay, from today, I'm fucking going to be like this. I'm not going to be afraid of shit. I'm going to just stand up for my, I didn't walk away like that. It was a good base to be set on. And I think I've been a coward still after that in certain situations, but not to the extent I did with Danny. Maybe I did pull a friend out of a fight instead of standing with him. Maybe I did try to negotiate with guys that I was afraid of instead of saying, hey, fuck you, you're wrong. But as I did those things, I would walk away feeling shitty about it. Like, say if an older kid in school tried to pick a fight and totally was being a dick to me, and instead of me standing up and saying, hey, you know what, fuck you, dude. You have a problem with me? Come on, let's go crazy, man. Instead of saying that, maybe I was like, oh, hey, I don't want problems, man. I'm sorry or whatever I did. I started apologizing for something that I didn't do. And then I'd walk away feeling like, fuck, feeling real shitty about myself, that, man, why was I such a coward in that situation? So I think there's a lot of situations like that slowly I realized that, instead of standing up and hitting that fear zone with that kid, that disappointment I had in myself was a lot more painful. And throughout the years, I think as I grew up, I started handling those situations a little better to a point where I am right now. I mean, I love life, man. I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying helping the people up north. I have an awesome girlfriend. I'm happy, man. But if it came down to doing the right thing, whether it's someone I know or not, like a kid in a burning building, whether it was for someone I call my family and my Yamato Damashi Ichizoku, whether it was for my beliefs, I'd be willing to die tomorrow if I have to. If there's this opportunity that came, I'd be willing to die tomorrow. Death isn't bad. This is just something you have to do to transit to heaven. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, I mean that makes me think of your book because it's titled, right, Live as a Man, Die as a Man, Become a Man. It's not, right, it's not live as a man, become a man, die as a man, right?
Yeah,
And that's,
yeah.
can you explain that?
Yeah, when I saw that saying, it was in the Yakuza building, and I was looking at this thing, and it said in Japanese, "Otoko de ikitai, otoko de shinitai, otoko ni naritai." And I was like, okay, that says I want to live as a man, I want to die as a man, I want to become a man. I was saying, okay, if you're dead, how do you become a man? I was saying that's the wrong order, man. That's a cool saying, but it's the wrong order. So I asked that Yakuza guy, Mr. Fujita, I asked him, why is that? Is that the wrong order, man? He goes, no, no, no. He said, and he explained to me that when you live as a man, all the situations you go into, all the hard times that you go through, is all little tests on how you're going to build the strength of your heart. It's a little test on how you're going to build your spirit for the final test. So those experiences are little pop quizzes, yeah, if you want to put it into a school term. And death is the final examination. So the more you can work and practice and get better at the pop examinations, is a better chances you're going to pass the final examination. And the reason why becoming a man is at the end is until you see what your score is or how you do on the final examination, you're not going to get your final grade. So I can live as a man, try to protect my family as a man, and be as strong as I can. But it's when death comes, if I run from it, if I die as a coward, I've never became a man. So that's what really got me interested in the situation. You know, I mean that saying was got me really interested. Is
So that's a gangster quote then.
yeah, it's from a Yakuza office. Yeah.
So your book is titled based off of a Yakuza quote. Um, that's something you said, right? Is that you relate a lot to the Yakuza for certain things like that, like their philosophies of loyalty, right? What are your four virtues again?
It's loyalty, honor, compassion, and integrity. And I think that's what Yamato Damashi encompasses, and that's the four attributes that the Yakuza run by. You know, I mean, I'm not saying the Yakuza are awesome, an awesome group or all good, but their base belief and honor system is awesome. And you know, you see a lot of the big high up guys back in the old time, the old school Yakuza guys have that honor and have that, you know, that belief of Yamato Damashi. But then you got these little punks nowadays, the younger ones right now, you know, selling drugs, pornography, you know, just trying to strong arm people, being tough, acting tough, you know. Those kind of guys just really give them a bad name. You know, it's just not what the old school Yakuza were about. You know, I, I'm not saying they're good people. I'm not saying that there's people that you should be related with, but all I'm saying is that I found in the Yakuza groups, I found some of the most honorable people that I've ever met.
Wow, that I mean, it's pretty cool, man. uh, let me let's jump backwards. Because I wanted to start off with you growing up in Hawaii. Um, you had that fight experience, and you were a racquetball player though, right? That was kind of like the beginning of your journey, like one of the main things that you started off doing.
Yes, yes, racquetball.
And is that something that you really like gave you an identity in life? Because you said that you were a Japanese kid in Hawaii, and that was really tough, right?
Yeah, racquetball. Yeah, well, what started that whole identity thing was when we were in Hawaii, where Japanese kids are smaller. Yeah, so we get picked on a lot. We get our lunch money taken away, and you know, when you're growing up in that day, you got you can either you teeter totter in the middle. You can't. You got to go one side or the other. So either you're going to give them your lunch money and become submissive to these bigger Hawaiian Samoan kids, or you're going to fight back. Risk getting beaten up, risk getting trouble, risk getting stared down in school like I did, worse walking through the halls and getting these guys calling you out, you know, worse, you know, having a lot of kids not want to hang out with you because the Hawaiian kids want to beat you up, sitting at lunch and having them all try to heckle you or mock you, you know, that's the other side that you can walk in. That's where I think a lot of my character of fighting back and standing up for what I believe in started, you know. Um, then it moved into racquetball. My grandfather told my brother and me that we're Japanese, we're small, we're never going to make it in sports competing against the big Americans. And that kind of gave my brother and I a lot of incentive to show my grandpa or show whoever thought that you know, hey, we might be a little smaller than everyone, but we still can compete with the bigger Americans, you know. And you know, my brother was one of the hardest racquetball hitters in the world, you know, and he wasn't the biggest guy, so I think he was clocked at one of the highest, I think almost over 300 miles per hour, yeah, the racquetball.
Um, I know that that's all tied closely your racquetball to your jujitsu experience, right? At least time wise. How does that all tie together? Because I know a series of events, right, kind of took place to get you into jujitsu, and then to actually get you over to Japan?
Okay, yeah, jiu-jitsu actually started with me because Hawaii had a lot of street fights. So I wanted to just defend myself on the streets. So I started off with, karate. I quit karate at 5 years old because the sensei tripped me and I didn't think that was cool. So I cried and ran out and quit at 5 years old. Vowed I'd never do another martial arts until I started having a lot of problems in intermediate school with the Hawaiian kids. And I thought I wanted to defend myself. Started Taekwondo. That was cool, but I'm like the least flexible person in the world. So that didn't work well. So I thought, okay, what else? Muay Thai. Ooh, nice, Muay Thai. I found the guy that was training in the park. And I say, okay, that's cool. And then I had a friend, James Tanaka, that was one of the top instructors in Wing Chun or Jet Kundo. So started working with him on that. I loved that. That was real practical on the streets. And I thought, Muay Thai in the striking distance. And then when you get close, it's that sticky hands, the Jet Kundo style, the Wing Chun style. Okay, I got it all done. And one day I was walking on campus in the University of Hawaii and I saw this skinny Brazilian guy running a video with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in action, looking at that, telling me that this is the art, street fights, this is the best. 90%, that the Gracie speech, 90% of street fights will go to the ground, And I'm like, that's kind of true, but watch the video. And at that time, Big was strong. And the last fight in the video was Hickson versus Zulu. And I was looking, oh no. Okay, if this guy, Brazilian guy, beats this big black guy, I was saying, nah, this has got to be the art to learn. And as you know, Hickson submitted, tapped out Zulu. And that's what got me excited to start jiu-jitsu. And I was like, whoa, I got to do this. Went to class, first day in class. We walk in, I'm expecting to learn all this grappling on the ground. And then all we learn is all this, okay, if he grabs you here, swing your arm around, do this and do this like this, like this self-defense class. And I was like, this is not what I saw in the video. This is almost like this, unpractical shit. So I'm like, okay, this is not right. After class, I stayed back and I spoke to Helson Gracie and I said, hey, what I saw in the video, I want to try and wrestle with somebody, to try and spar and see and feel what the Gracie technique is like. So he calls over this little guy named Homero. He's a well-known black belt in Brazil, but they call over Homero. I swear, I was like about 180 pounds, and he was like 140, 130 pounds. I'm looking at this guy. You want me to spar this guy? I'm thinking, okay, yeah, jiu-jitsu might have good technique, but my strength will overcome that technique. There's no way this little guy's going to do anything to me. Boom, no punching, just grappling, just to see the technique. Went on the ground, and boom, next thing he's on my back, choked me out. I'm like, wait, okay, that was pretty cool, but let's try it again. 3 times, man, same shit, choked me out every time. And you're thinking about it now. I think he probably didn't put me in an armbar because he probably knew I didn't understand what the armbar was, so I probably wouldn't tap and he'd have to hurt me, which he didn't want to do. So he actually had so much control of the fight that he put me in the choke every single time. Tapped me out 3 times, and at the 3rd time I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is this crazy jiu-jitsu shit, man? And I pretty much became religious on it, man. We had classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would be at the classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, we had classes at Helson's house. I went to those. Saturdays, I would get these the blue belts that was in the class, like me, James Tanaka, Coffee, all these guys would get together and just meet on the side. I was doing jiu-jitsu like 7 days a week, man. I was just hooked. So that's how the jiu-jitsu thing happened. What made me even more solidified in knowing that jiu-jitsu was an awesome art was we got into a street fight in Seattle, Washington, in downtown Seattle, Washington. This is how racquetball kind of ties into jiu-jitsu, because we went for a racquetball tournament. After the tournament, we're driving around in the car, and it's like, okay, let's go find some chicks. We're in the stoplight. It's like, oh, chicks next to us. Oh, hey, what's up, man? It's like, okay, where you guys going? They said, we're going to a club. It's like, oh, follow us. Like, oh, hell yeah, okay. Stoplight, they take a left. So we're like, oh, shit, we're in the middle lane. We're like, oh, we got to follow them. So my friend that was driving, this guy Humphrey, he's like a 130-pound racquetball player. He turned left. And then before we knew it, the car that was behind the girls just totally nailed us in the side. And we're in a car accident. These fucking girls just left and were gone. We had no idea where they went, and we're like, okay. The whole mode goes from girls to, oh no, trouble. Figure out what's going on. We get out of the car, and there's this big black guy. I'd say he was about 240, just trap sticking out of his shirt, walking over to my friend Guy and pissed off as hell, walking over, and he's like straight up poking his finger in Guy's chest saying, "You're gonna fucking die, dude." And I'm like, whoa. The bad part about this is, okay, Egan runs to the payphone to call the police. Figured, okay, the only way we're going to survive this situation, this black dude, is from getting the police here. And I'm in a situation where half an hour before, I'm telling Egan and Guy how great this Gracie Jiu-Jitsu thing is, giving the total Gracie Jiu-Jitsu speech saying, size doesn't matter, kind of shit. And I'm putting Egan in the ground, choking him, armbarring him, doing whatever, getting Guy there, boom, armbarring him, and showing them, like, hey, see, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is so good, man. Look at me, I'm not even using my power and shit, and giving that whole Gracie Jiu-Jitsu speech. And half an hour later, I'm over there looking at this huge black guy with beady round eyes, traps like the size of mountains, and looking at my friend, saying he's going to kill him, and I'm looking at myself and thinking, okay, I've already gave this big speech on how size doesn't matter. This guy shouldn't matter. Something okay, but whew, I don't know if I believe that Gracie shit's this much yet. So I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm like, okay, I gotta take a stance. So what I did was I went over, addressed the black guy, and said in a semi-cocky, kind of friendly way, saying, hey, dude, cool down. I could have said it nicer, but I figured I gotta, play it, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy now. Hey, cool down. Wait for the cops to come. And then I see these eyes come from Guy, go straight over to me and he tells me, who the fuck are you? I'm like, holy shit. He goes, now I'm going to kill you, you motherfucker, he told me. And I'm like, okay, this is fucking bad, man. So I'm thinking, okay, what's going to happen? I'm thinking to myself, what is going to happen now? And now this guy's on me. So I'm like standing there, he comes and pushes his finger in my chest. You fucker, you're gonna die, telling me that kind of stuff, threatening me. So I'm like, okay, shit. Step back. I step back. He stepped forward, started pushing my chest again. I stepped back again. I thought, holy shit, this guy's like getting, I don't know if he's getting courage from seeing my fear, but he's getting more aggressive every time he steps forward. So I'm thinking, okay, if he touches me a third time, I gotta take the initiative. Step back and like slow motion, his finger came and touching my chest, started pounding on my chest, and right there I just exploded, grabbed him head and arm, took him down. Before I knew it, I was on the mount. Egan was already on the phone calling the police, so I was on the mount. Egan heard a thud when I took him down. I guess when our bodies hit. Egan saw that, came running over. But at the time he came running over, I think I hit the guy twice from the mount. He grabbed my shirt, tried to throw me off. My shirt ripped, and he turned his back. Put my hooks in like we did in jiu-jitsu class. Figured, okay, jiu-jitsu 101. Got him in the choke. This guy is so big, he kind of gets up on his force and jumps backwards. And kind of like we're on the sidewalk and we end up in the middle of the street because he's like exploding, trying to gouge my eyes, trying to hit me. And I'm here in the choke. And the house in Greece, I remember telling me that 3 seconds, you go to sleep. I'm like, I'm pretty sure 3 seconds went by. This fucking guy is still trying to gouge my eyes. I'm thinking, holy shit, what am I going to do? And right when I started thinking that, he started twitching. He started twitching. He grabbed my arms and he started twitching. And I knew he was out. And I thought, okay, we got to get out of here before this guy gets up. But Egan's there at that time. Right when he passes out, Egan ends up in front of me, screaming to me, kill him, hold him. And I switched from this, oh, he's out, I gotta let him go, we gotta get out of here, to, yeah, gotta kill him. And I just start holding that choke. I think I must have held another 2 or 3 seconds. And when I realized he was out, I remember letting him go. And I remember he was so big that I couldn't just get up. So I had to like kind of like kick him, push him, and kind of kick him off of me. He ended up face down. I got up. We actually walked up the street to check the signs of the car to see who was really right or wrong. Ran to the car about 30 feet down the street, jumped in the car, and I remember looking back when we were driving, when we were already in the car. I remember looking back and seeing that he was still not moving on the ground. And that's when I started thinking, holy shit, I hope he's okay, you know. I mean, I'm thinking, I hope he's not okay so we can get away. But once we're away, I'm thinking, oh shit, I hope I didn't kill that guy, you know. So we went and the next days we stayed in the rooms. We checked the papers. It was right in downtown Seattle, that's why. So we're checking the papers to see if there's any mention of the fight or any mention of a dead guy in the street. And there was nothing, so I'm assuming that everything went okay. And that's pretty much what got me sold and got Egan sold in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So that's just the tie into that, yeah. The tie into Jiu-Jitsu in Japan is racquetball is what got me into Japan. And when I was playing racquetball, Egan was, became the #1 player in the world, and always hovered in the top 5 or 6. Always, how the rankings, depending on how you do in the tournament, changes. And I was always hovering down in like 28, 34, just pretty much being in that bottom level. And it came to a point where the tour was really hurting. They were canceling pro stops, and I wasn't making any money on it. My parents were paying every trip. I was living off Egan's sponsor, staying in his room, wearing his clothing. So pretty much leeching off my parents and Egan. And I felt I had to make a decision on to go back to school. So I retired from racquetball, went back to school, and that's how I found Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Because I retired from racquetball, I had time. And when the Japan Association for Racquetball called Egan to come up to a event, he couldn't make it because he was still in the pro tour, and I was free. So when Egan couldn't make it, they said, your brother is a good racquetball player. How about he comes? And that's what brought me back to Japan. So went to Japan, played in the tournament, won the tournament, and then after I won the tournament, the guy who brought me up wanted me to teach seminars in Japan. And as I was teaching the seminars in my 3-month tourist visa, I felt, I may as well learn the language. After the 3 months was up, it was time to go home. I didn't feel like I had the grasp of the language. Then I started looking to try and live there, to learn the language, to get a better job in Hawaii when I go back. Everything was always about going back. So, the only reason why racquetball got me to Japan, a racquetball trip is what confirmed my belief that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu really works, So there's a big tie-in for racquetball. There's a big tie-in for racquetball in Japan. Racquetball was like, I believe, a little stepping stone that I had to get me to Japan, a little stepping stone that I had to get my confidence and confirmation of how good Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is. That was a small step in my life, racquetball. Yeah.
Was your at that time, was your passion jiu-jitsu though? Like you said in your book, right, that you were in love with jiu-jitsu, right? Not racquetball.
Yes. I was in love with jiu-jitsu. When I had the offer to go to Japan, Helson Gracie came up and told me, don't go. And I was like, why is he so worried, man? I love jiu-jitsu. I'm coming back to jiu-jitsu. This is a 2-week trip, and I'll be back, And something is, I don't know if Helson knew something, but he just looked at me and said, "Go, dude, don't go." You know how they say in Brazil, don't go, my friend, don't go, I'm like, I'll be back, man, I'll be back. And after the racquetball tournament was over, my heart was still going back to Hawaii, to jiu-jitsu. Yeah, my heart was in jiu-jitsu, but I thought, okay, but I also got to think about my future. So I thought, okay, I want to learn the Japanese language to eventually go back to Hawaii to get a good job, and of course be back at jiu-jitsu. So I went and found, like I said, to continue from that where I left off was I went and got a job as an English teacher for 1 year. And I felt, oh, that 1 year we really couldn't have gone any slower, man. I was like, I want to get back to Hawaii. I saw Hawaii on TV and I got homesick. I would get letters from my mom, care packages from my mom. I would literally like choke up because I'd start missing home. And thought 1 year. The 1 year finally came. I'm like, okay, I'm getting the fuck out of here. But then I thought, logically, I still didn't have the language that good. I could see myself going back to Hawaii, not speaking the language as much, and forgetting the language. So I said, okay, damn it, 1 more year. And I extended it 1 more year just to learn the language. And my life was such a lucky life. The timing of everything was perfect. So at my second year of learning Japanese, teaching English, Egan wanted someone to help him with um, his racquetball company. So he asked me to help the guy that he had taken over his racquetball company. It's called E-Force. Asked me to help the guy. The guy said, the guy had a little ego, and he was like, oh, I want to do it alone or I'm not doing it at all. So Egan said, okay, you're gone. And all of a sudden, I was sitting there not having enough Japanese in charge of Egan's racquetball company, E-Force. And so it was like an obligation or almost like a mission or something like a challenge for me to get E-Force as a stable company. It was really hard because I was teaching English at the same time. So I remember coming home I remember sending a fax out to, that's how back it was, fax. I sent a fax out to everybody saying that my name is Enson. All orders got to be through fax because that way I could read it or have someone translate it for me. Nothing on phones because I couldn't understand the phone conversations. So we did it all by fax. And it was hard because after English classes, I would come home at night and literally stay up to 2, 3 in the morning trying to translate faxes and trying to write back kanji to the people to write, answer their questions, fulfill their orders. And it got to a point where I really couldn't do it anymore. Ended up quitting the Japanese job, the English job, and just concentrating on the company. I gave myself 2 years on that to get the company sturdy, find someone I could trust to hire to run the company, to eventually again go back to Hawaii and back to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So the second year, which is my fourth year now, came up. The company got sturdy. I hired someone to take over, and I'm finally, after 4 years, going back to Jiu-Jitsu and to Hawaii. And before I go, Enson calls me, says, hey, Hickson's fighting in Japan. It's a Volley Judo Japan 1994. He's in a tournament. If you're in Japan, you want to go watch Hickson and get your tickets. Told Enson I want to. Hickson got me 2 tickets. I went with a friend, and when I went to it, okay, this is what another thing that you need to know about my whole racquetball thing was going back to when I was little in Hawaii. I remember seeing a show that a car turned over. The guy had his family in the car, and the car started on fire. He got out, and because it was on fire, he started to panic. Because he wasn't thinking straight, he had a level head, he couldn't control his emotions, he couldn't open the door, his whole family died. I remember seeing that. I remember thinking that if I ever in that situation, I want to be able to control my emotions. I want to be able to not freak out, and I want to be able to be at the best of my abilities to save people. And the only way I could relate to that was from sports. So as I was playing racquetball in my career, I always felt that way. There's a way I mean, there's times where I would practice in the court and hit this certain easy shot 9, 10 times out of 10 perfectly. And then all of a sudden in the tournament, because of the emotions and the jitters and the nervousness, all of a sudden I only could hit that shot like 3 times out of 10, So I felt, in racquetball, of course it was about winning and getting sponsors and getting a good ranking in the world. But my side objective was to be able to control my emotions for a bigger picture, to be a stronger man, to be a stronger person, so I could eventually in the situation, not react perfectly, but react to the best of my abilities to think on a level head and be in control of my movements. Yeah. So at that time, at the same time, and that is, like if you hear about a video on Live Leak or something, some kind of one of those internets that has this real gruesome shit. You see this title: "Man gets run over by a bus and his head is run over, brains gushing out." You know, instinctively, I don't want to see that. Instinctively, I look at that and say, "Shit, I don't want to see that. That's so gross. I might feel shitty for the rest of the day." But then on the side, I'm thinking the same thing and the same thought of being able to react through all the situations. I want to see that because although it might ruin my day or my week for that day, for that time, I've seen it once. If I see it again, I'm not going to freak out as much. And the more I can see it, the more I can relate to it. And if one day it happens on the street and my friends, I have 4 friends with me, one gets run over, his head gets run over, his brains are gushed out, and the 3 others are lying down with their legs turned the other way, I wouldn't freak out so much because I've seen it before. So, that's another thing that I used to do is make sure I watch those things and absorb it. So that was my whole thing, being able to control my emotions in any situation. So what was good with the racquetball tournament, through the years playing racquetball, I actually started not to the point where I could be the same ensign in the practice court in the national tournaments, but pretty close to it. Pretty 90% to a point where the ensign that was practicing was the ensign that's going to be playing in the tournament. So it was cool, it was awesome, and I felt okay. So if there's a situation where the car turns over and I got to save my family, I'm confident that I can do pretty good and being level-headed and getting them out. Then I go to the Volley Tour of Japan when Rickson fights. I'm not in the ring. It's Rickson. I consider someone like a brother. Where I was really close to the Gracies. And we go up. I'm on the second level watching the fight. And I remember when Rickson was fighting, I remember that nervousness to a point where I couldn't even control myself. I'm the type of person that cheers in a fight but doesn't scream out or heckle. I'll sit down and just watch, and when he wins, be like, under my breath, go, yes, all right, But for some reason, seeing a friend fight in the ring, it was just nerve-wracking for me, to a point where when Rickson won, I actually jumped up and started screaming, yes, yes, And then after the event was over, I walked in thinking, holy shit, watching a friend fight in the ring, I couldn't control my emotions. And then all of a sudden, that whole frame of mind comes in and says, holy shit, I can't even control myself for my friends fighting in the ring. What would happen if it was me? And I'm thinking, oh shit, I thought I had my emotions under control, but all of a sudden I'm feeling like a whole white belt again, thinking, damn, I gotta get in the ring once. I gotta feel that thing. Whether I'm gonna make a career of it or not is not the question. Just the fact that I can feel it once, that anxiety, and try to control it. I know if I do it once, it'll make me better at controlling in the future. So I thought, okay, once, I gotta try that. And that's what created the movement in the ring. A lot of these fighters nowadays are getting to the ring because they think they can win the belt. They think they can be rich because it's a big money sport now, I didn't get into that for that. I got into the fighting because I felt it was an avenue to build myself as a man, to be a stronger man in life, to protect the people that I love. So it was a whole different aspect on why I went into the ring. So that's the reason why I fought. People probably, unless you read my book, people don't know that I didn't fight for the titles. I didn't fight for the sponsors. I didn't fight for the fame. I fought for the honor. I fought for building myself spiritually. I fought to become a better, stronger person. Yeah. So that's the story of why I started.
That's amazing that actually started with racquetball,
Yeah.
The whole nerves, controlling your nerves. The escalation from racquetball to fighting, I don't know, that's kind of cool that it started out that way with racquetball,
Life was like that, man. It's like growing up in a real peaceful American Japanese community. going into an intermediate school where it combined the Hawaiian communities next to us, having to fight for your lunch money, having to fight for your honor to not be picked on, to going into sports with our grandfather telling us that we're not big enough and strong enough for Japanese people, going into fighting, I mean, I go into Japan and I start teaching English, and when I started fighting, it was a perfect timing. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was sought after in Japan. I was a Gracie practitioner. The timing of that, I mean, my life is amazing how everything works out. I get famous enough to have the resources to help people, then the tsunami happens. It's like it's really. I feel like I'm 48, and you know how people wish they were young. I don't know, man. I don't wish I was any younger. I don't want to go back to my 20-year-olds because I don't know if I could. I'm so happy at where I am now. I'm not sure if I could actually walk that same path to be in the shoes that I am now. So I'm kind of happy at where I am. But my life, I'd say I'm a lucky man. I got a lot of the timing of everything, the movement. It's almost like the flow of the river. I'm just going with the flow of the river, and all of a sudden it flows right, and it's like into a beautiful pond, and I end up in a beautiful pond. I feel like that. Like, if I have to go to the top of the river and go back to 20 years old and try to ride that river again, who knows if that one rock going to bring me the other way and take me to that dirty swamp. So that's how I feel. Really feel that my life there's so many channels it could have gone to take me to a different part. Say there's 100 different ponds, just one beautiful pond, and I so happen to end up in that beautiful pond. I wouldn't want to try and start up at the river and take that chance of not being where I am today.
Well, you told me something that you believe in is everything happens for a reason, right? You're a firm believer in that, and that you actually failed in racquetball, right? And that's kind of what opened the door for you to be a fighter somehow.
Yeah, well, I believe everything happens for a reason. I believe if you have faith in that belief, in time you will see why that happened and why it was actually something that was good for you. Like the example I probably told you in the interview, you got erased. No, okay. Say racquetball. When I played racquetball, everything was about racquetball. My life was racquetball. I trained it was my full-time job. My parents supported me. It was everything. It was everything. I saw my brother become world champion. That was my dream. If I had a wish in anything in the world, it was to be a racquetball champion like my brother. And I remember I was finally starting to climb the rankings. I started doing good. It was a national tournament at the end of the year. And in racquetball, the national tournament had double the points. So the better you did, you had double. Like you did that good in 2 of the tournaments, which would bring my rankings up. I remember qualifying in the tournament, making it to the main draw. When I got into the main draw, I had to play this guy, Dan Abramsky. He was the 12th ranked player in the world. If I beat Dan, it was in the round of 32s. I would have been in the round of 16s, which would have gave me a lot of points. It would have brought me into the top 24 in the racquetball, which I never broke into. So I'm in that game. I remember I win the first game. I'll win the first 2 games. It's a 3 out of 5 to 11. I win the first 2 games, lose the second one. I would lose the third game. Sorry, win game 1, win game 2, game 3. He beats me. Game 4, okay. So I got 2. I need 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5 only. So I need 1 more game. He got 1 on me. It's 2-1 now, and I got 1 more game. I'm up 9-5 to him. Then I get a point. Boom. I'm 10-5. I got 1 point away from winning this and catapulting myself in better rankings. I have a shot that comes, and like I said, I could bury every single time. It was like the easiest shot. I'm thinking, when this shot's coming, I'm thinking, God damn it, this fucking game's over, man. And you call it a skip, where the ball hits the ground, and it skipped, which automatically made me lose that rally, gave him the serve. I ended up losing that 11-10, and then went on to lose the match. And for a long time, I was destroyed by that. I always thought that, that one that missing that 1 point. What happened in that was because of that. My ranking stayed in 28. I was ranked 20 in the world. It didn't go over it. I needed to bring it to 24 to actually be a solid um, player that's going to be in the main draw every tournament. Anybody below 24 had to play in a qualifying tournament to fill the last 8 spots to make the round of 32s. So all of a sudden I'm not in there anymore, and I'm thinking, oh, this is bad. And right there, it's like I can't. I've been 2 years. My parents supported me. 2 years, Egan helped me out with his equipment and the rooms and everything. And I'm thinking, it's almost, there's a time when you got to really say, hey, okay, I've tried and I'm not cut out for it. I got to look forward into my future. So I thought, okay, if I made that shot, man, I'd have another year. I'd have another time on the tour, and would have been so awesome. And it didn't. So I had to sit back, and I thought, okay, I got to go back to school, man. I took off school for 2 years to play racquetball, and my parents were kind enough to still support me through that. I gave it 2 years, good, and I didn't do it, and I think also that big disappointment of that tournament just kind of like dampened my spirits, and I was pretty much defeated to a point where I was like, I've got to go back to school, and went back to school. That whole time, up until years after that, man, I every time I thought of that shot, I had this real yucky feeling in my chest, like I wanted to cry. Like I felt like that was one of the times in life that just slipped by me, and I just fucked up, man. And to continue on that, I retired from racquetball, went to university. Because I retired and went back to university, there was a non-credit course called Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Found that art, started studying that. Because I wasn't on the pro tour and I wasn't that busy, when they wanted Egan to come to Japan, he couldn't. I had free time. I could. Okay. I had the opportunity to start Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I had the opportunity to go to Japan. But still, it still didn't click on me like everything happens for a reason. Still, I was like, okay, this is still fucking, I wish I made that shot. Go to Japan, English teacher, E-Force company, boom, boom, become a fighter, boom, next thing you know, I'm a big famous fighter. I got gyms. And one day, literally 10 to 15 years after I missed that shot, I'm sitting back to myself and thinking, wow, if I didn't miss that shot, I wouldn't be in Japan. If I didn't miss that shot, would I have ever found Gracie Jiu-Jitsu? I'm thinking to myself, man, for the last 10 years, I could have sworn that was one of the worst things that happened to me. And now sitting back and reflecting at where I am now and how the roads became what it was because of that shot, I'm thinking that that's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. That solidified my belief that everything happens for a reason. As bad as it may look, there's something it's gonna be the right thing for you. So anyone out there, man, there's something bad comes to you, an unfortunate situation, you're fired from a job, don't hang your head, man. Keep moving forward and have that belief that something's going to come of this. There's a reason why I got fired. There's a reason why I did this. There's a reason why I lost this. Everything's going to be like that, man. I'm a solid believer in that. That's what solidified my belief in that.
Man, that's such a good story. I mean, because it's so sad at first, It's just like,
bro, I felt it for 10 years. It was the saddest thing in my life for 10 years, man.
That's crazy.
But hey, man, if I didn't miss this shot, I probably would have been still chasing the pro tour for another couple of years. That sport is so vigorous that you probably end up retiring. I probably would have went back, maybe teach racquetball lessons in Hawaii, go to college, get a job, 9 to 5, and be this old guy right now teaching racquetball in Hawaii.
Well, they probably wouldn't have named you Yamato Damashi from your racquetball, legendary racquetball matches, right?
I think my whole life would have been different. I have the opportunity to help people. I have the opportunity to bring supplies up to the people in the north. of an opportunity to write a book and to speak to people about the belief that I have about the Yamato Damashi way. I mean, I have an opportunity to inspire people. I mean, that's a huge thing for me. I have messages come in from people like simple real estate people telling me that reading your book or seeing the way you fight made me want to work harder at my job. I mean, it's just no relation to fighting in real estate, but to people like that, it's inspiring. I've stopped about 7 people from suicide.
Wow.
One's a good. Two of them are like family members to me now. One guy that I just posted on Facebook that came to Watanabe Gym, this guy Tajima. He was when I met him, he was going to kill himself. And I have the opportunity to do these things. It's it's priceless, man. I mean, you can save one life, it's good enough, man. But I have that opportunity to be that person that can be a role model to people. I have 13 babies named after me. Enson isn't a normal name. I have 13 Ensons that they're either their mothers or fathers have named themselves after me. I mean, geez, I mean, what? Wow, I mean, what else? I mean, how lucky am I, man? It's so awesome.
Yeah, God just chose you, man. God chose you for the work. You had the right heart, you know.
Man, and the thing too is this is like a lot of the stuff I'm doing, as far as the help up north and the bracelets and these inspiring people. It's not something that even takes anything off of me. It's something that I just normally do, and it's just I enjoy it, man. I enjoy it. The missions up north, I'm on number 40 now. It's almost going to be 5 years coming next September that I've been doing missions. I'm on mission. Mission 40 is going to happen on January 10th. But man, those missions, man. I love those missions. Everyone thinks that's such a great thing I'm doing. I'm spending my own money to go on these missions. But I don't think it's so great because I believe that everybody has their own ways of happiness. Like Floyd Mayweather will buy numerous cars, $1 million watch. Some other people will buy a nice house. Some other people will travel the world. People have their own ways of happiness. This is my happiness, to see the smiles on those people's faces, to give an old lady even something as simple as a 6-pack of beer. She holds it to her chest, looks at me and says, "Oh my God, I haven't drank beer for a while. Thank you." I mean, to give a heater to a family and then the kids are all in like two coats and they look at me and say, "Oh wow, perfect timing. Our heater just broke last month." And like, holy shit, that brings this warmth in my heart that probably brings the same warmth to Floyd Mayweather, to him, to look at his $1 million watch and have happiness through that. That's just my way of having happiness, man. I mean, I say I'm not a rich person, man. I'm making it in life. I'm doing okay, but I say I'm a millionaire in happiness, man. Maybe I don't have $1 million in my bank account, but I'm a millionaire in happiness, man. That's what makes me happy,
Is there something because at some point you realize that fear or anxiety or whatever was something that you wanted to chase down and embrace. You embraced fear, like fear would be present and you would just run into it. Is there something like that too with your missions work and helping people that you're chasing down, similar to that? Or could that be fear too? Because I mean, that's kind of scary as well, isn't it? Like you're in the radiation and I mean, what's that like?
I think more that would be more into that belief of doing what I believe is right. Like running into the burning house to save the child, standing by your friend, even though you're scared of getting beaten up. It's to another level. But I have the fame and notoriety to be able to go into the zone. I there was a fan that was doing construction in the zone, so he had the passes to get into the zone. I heard that there were some people that were left behind. I heard there were animals. And when I went to visit one of the temporary housing that had 1,200 people in them, he came up, introduced himself, And he said, I said, oh, what do you do here? He goes, oh, he helps volunteer, helps these people, and he goes into the zone. I'm like, whoa, you go into the zone? And he goes, yes, I do construction. He goes, I can take you. And the only reason why he says because he's a fan. I'm like, holy shit, you can take me into the zone. I said, I want to see. So, for me, it was like, I wanted to see one because when I was running those missions up north and there was no 20 kilometer zone, blocked off zone, everyone could go in and out. It was only recommended by the government to leave if you're in the 20 kilometer perimeter. But I heard there were a lot of people that didn't leave. And I always thought that shit, those people need help, man. They need food. They need, they don't have anything there. So I was, while doing my missions, that was going to be part of my mission to drive into that radiation area to bring food to those people that are left behind. Right before I got a chance to do that, they closed it off where it became a criminal act if you try to get in. So physically, it wasn't possible to do that. So when I had this fan come up and say, hey, I can bring you in the zone, I was like jumping on the opportunity. And the only reason why I had that opportunity was because of the fame that I had fighting. So that fame got me the opportunity. The fame is allowing me to help people, So we went into the zone and it just escalated to where there was no people, but there was dogs, there was cats, there was animals left behind. We saw wild boars, cows, and dogs were running up to the car. And I wanted to get out to pet them, but I had nothing to give them. The guy told me, don't go out, radiation's high, stay in the car, which probably didn't matter because radiation goes right through all that. And I didn't get out, and it hurt me, man. And I just left, and I told the guy, man, I got to go back in. I want to feed the dogs. And he goes, I don't know. I'll let you know. About a month later, he calls me, lets me know that he can get me in. I get buckets of food, pedigree, and dry food, mix it up, make like 4 buckets of food. And we went around that whole day in the radiation and dumping out food for the animals in radiation suits. So, that it's one of those things that I say you go back on that if you have that opportunity to help and you can help things, but you don't because you're worried about your physical life, spiritually you're gonna die. That's the thing that I kind of related that to. Not anyone can do that. Not anyone can go and get into the zone and feed the animals. Not anyone can do that. I had that opportunity because of my fame as a fighter. And I felt like I'm lucky to have that opportunity. And I'm not going to pass that opportunity by. Of course, I'm not stupid, man. I'm not going to just go into radiation, fry up. Of course, I did a lot of studies in radiation. I found out that your body can take 60,000 microsieverts a year before your body chemistry changes. I carried a dosimeter that I wore in my suit and outside of my suit. I made sure I didn't go past 40,000 microsieverts before stopping going in for a year. For 1 year, I didn't want to go near 50,000 microsieverts. So I was educated about it. I didn't go in like an idiot, but I did do things that most people wouldn't do. There are times when the dosimeter was just, like the dosimeter is something that calculates, the Geiger counter calculates what you're in at the time. The dosimeter calculates what you're absorbing. And there was a lot of times the dosimeter will stay at 0, but the numbers won't change for a minute or like say 10, 15 minutes. It'll go up 1 point or something. The dosimeter at one point in the zone actually went up like a stopwatch. And even the guy that was driving me, I showed him that, he freaked out. That day I got 29,000 microsieverts, which isn't good for me yet. But I don't know. I mean, some people call me stupid. Some people, there's a guy on YouTube that actually said I just shortened my life. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But you know what, man? It was something I felt was right. It was something that I had the opportunity to do. And it's a decision that I made, and I don't regret it. And if I die tomorrow because I went in the zone, I believe I did the right thing.
Man, that's hard. That's hardcore, man. I want to talk more about that. But you said, I want to jump back because you said that fighting got you the opportunity to do that. how much jujitsu training did you have before you moved to Japan? And then did you continue jujitsu in Japan?
I trained. I think I had like 4 years, solid years, but I was so avid in jiu-jitsu. I would live at Hossen's house. I would watch his videos with Hoist and Hori, and then would come over, and Hickson. I would have a chance to talk with them. I actually brought Hoist down to the garage, and he taught me a lot, you know. So I believe my 4 years were like someone's 8 years, you know. So I got a lot of jiu-jitsu in the beginning. When I went to Japan, I brought my gi, of course. And of course, there's no one that does jiu-jitsu. I taught English at a police academy. I'd bring my gi. They all do judo there. So I would go into the judo class, spar with them in judo. Of course, nothing like jiu-jitsu. I would bring my other fellow English teachers. There was a couple English teachers, Matt and Baron, that would come, and they would know nothing, but I'll teach them from zero, hoping that in a couple of years they'd be good enough to work sparring with me. When I met a big Iranian dude in the club, a racquetball club that I was at, that was a wrestler, I brought him down to the gymnasium to spar. We sparred like that, you know. So I never got really real good jiu-jitsu sparring, but I did keep active in the weights and, you know, the wrestling, keep active in teaching jiu-jitsu, which I believe that still kept my technique refined by teaching. So 4 years, went there 4 years without any jiu-jitsu before starting to fight. But, you know, jiu-jitsu was so new. Even if I was 4 years rusty in jiu-jitsu, Japan still didn't understand jiu-jitsu. So
you did.
I think I went up. I was already purple belt. Yeah, like a second-degree purple belt.
And I mean, you were obviously training right under Helson, who's phenomenal, right? I mean, that's kind of the difference too. Back then, you could train with someone like that, and nobody even knows what's going on, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I got training from Helson. I got training from, you know, Hoist, all the brothers that came to visit him. There was a guy named Malibu. There was a Homero. You know, these guys all came down, and, you know, because they were friends of the Gracies, we got sparring with them, man. And you know, I don't think it's necessarily because I trained under Helson. It was because of my desire to get better, the way I plugged him, the way I aggressed all his guests to a point where I might have been a nuisance to these guys, trying to get them out to teach me, bring them to the garage. So Helson had mats in his garage, you know. It was all, I was just crazy about jiu-jitsu, you know. So I think that's why I say, you know, my 4 years was probably like 8 years, man. So when I went to Japan, I was still a purple belt, and I think I stayed a purple belt all the way for that 4 years, you know.
And you originally you learned it for self-defense, right? For fighting in the streets of Hawaii.
Yes.
And then that translated into you being a fighter, though.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, that when I saw Hickson fight, I had that desire to try and see how I could control those anxieties if I were in the ring. I mean, Jesus Christ, you think about it, in any sport, you get nervous doing racquetball. Yeah, you get nervous doing basketball. You get nervous doing baseball. But, man, you're in a ring with another guy who been, for the last 3 months, knew he was fighting you, studied your tapes, and was going into the ring, trained for 3 months to hurt you. And you're going to stand in the ring face to face with this person, and it's only you and him. And whatever you built and you've learned throughout those 3 months is the only thing that's going to save you from this guy hurting you. I mean, that's kind of like the most exciting thing there is. You know, that'll bring the most anxiety in you. I mean, what other sport can bring you to that fear level, you know, to that anxiety level. You know, it's like when you live everyday life, man, you're not in that situation to ever experience that anxiety. As sports people, you know, especially as fighters, I believe we're lucky, man, because every time we get in the ring, we're experiencing anxiety because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if this punch could hit you wrong and kill you. You know, that anxiety that you step into. And I felt that was just an opportunity for me. You know, I mean, you got a guy work 9 to 5 job, and the day he sees something gruesome or he goes into a situation that brings him into a near panic state and he has to save his family, he had no chance to prepare for that, you know. And I feel like as fighters, we're lucky, man, because we step into that ring and emotionally and as far as spiritually, we were able to practice at being more stable person whenever everything anxiety level hits 10, you know.
How did it look? So you're at Hickson's fight, right? You went to Valley Tudo. What was it?
94.
So you're there at Valley Tudo 94, and you're watching this, and you're just freaking out, having all kinds of you're just screaming and yelling and everything. You can't control yourself. What happens next? You're just like, I gotta do this, and like, how did that play out to you fighting?
It's exactly what happened, dude. That's exactly what happened. My whole mission up until then was after that was to get in the ring. And I didn't care if it was amateur. You know, it doesn't matter, man. I mean, knocking you out or someone breaking your arm or choking you unconscious. It doesn't matter if it's amateur or pros, man. That the fact that this guy's gonna try and fucking hurt you or take you to a point where if he continued, he could kill you is enough anxiety. So I didn't say, oh, I want to fight in Vale though. Little did I know I'm going to fight 95 in a year, but I didn't think that. I didn't think I was going to fight in any professional fight. I just thought that I just wanted to get into the ring, amateur, pro, I don't care what it was, to that man-to-man combat with one man standing here across you, ready to hurt you. I just felt that anxiety level was something that I never experienced in racquetball. So I was on a mission. I got on the phone. I called Pancras, I called Rings, I called WWF, UWF it was called, okay? UWF, I talked to a lady, and she says that, how old are you? And I was 2 years over the age. I said, you have to be like 24, 25. You have to be over 180 centimeters, and you have to be a certain weight. I'm like, why does that fucking matter? If I can fight, it's a fighting association. Why does my height and weight and everything matter? And I was like, that's just bullshit. This got to be pro wrestling shit. Boom, cut the phone. Called Rings and Pancras. They had the same thing. Those guys are such organized organizations. Is they told me, okay, we periodically have a new boy test. They call it Shindeshi test. So it's a new boy test that you can come in and do the test where they do put you to calisthenics, all this kind of stuff, and sparring, and they can see how good you are. So, okay, I can be ready for that. Okay, wait for that. Cut the phone. Okay, waiting for that. In the meantime, send in your resume with a picture of you from waist up and full bodies. Okay, I did all that. I sent in Pancras probably still has it today. But I sent it into Pancras and Rings. While waiting, I'm antsy. Okay, there's got to be. Went to the store, looked at all the videos. What association would be able to allow me to use jiu-jitsu? I was thinking, because that's my strength. I didn't know how to strike. So I'm looking at that and I see the Shuto video. And I'm thinking, okay, Valley Japan is a link to Shuto. Got on the phone, called the Shuto gym. And at the time, Shuto was a very unorganized association. And I talked to Sayama Satoru himself, the founder of Shuto, and he said, oh, you did great jiu-jitsu before? Okay, come down. Come check us out. And I was like, okay. UWF had all these restrictions on height, weight, everything. Rings and Pancras had this big thing about the new boy test. And here's Shuto on this side saying, come down tomorrow, kind of thing. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Bought my Shinkansen ticket, bullet train ticket, jumped on the next train. Next day I was there. Went there, and it was interesting because I walked in. No one's in the gym because I guess daytime they hadn't have classes. Had about 3 guys in there. Walked in there, Sama, introduced myself, said hello. He said, oh, you did Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And that's when Ultimate Fighting just started. So everything was about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. They're interested in that. So he goes, okay, come. Spar with this guy. And brings this little guy out. Like, this guy's like 140. I'm like, this guy's tiny. I'm like, okay, do you want me to spar with this guy? Okay, so I spar with him. Mount him, take his back. You know, the only thing I felt was a little scary for him is he was attacking my feet. But it was okay. But I felt a little danger in that. But other than that, position-wise, he had no clue, man. I sweeped him, I mounted him, took his back, everything. Kind of had my way with him. Sat down after the sparring, and I remember Sayama looking at that kid and saying, we could use this guy. And I'm like, they could use me? What does he mean by that? He goes, hey, can you make a pro debut in 3 months? And I'm like, I was taken aback. I was like, no, whoa, pro, no. I want to just amateur. I'm good at amateurs. No, you're good for pros. I'm like, cool, pros. You want me to fight pros? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. And I said, okay, I have confidence in Sayama. He's going to help me train. Moved all my things down to Omiya and started training for the pro. That's how it happened. Later on, I found out that the little guy was Nakai Yuki, and he's a welterweight champion. And that's how it took off. That's how it started. And one fight led to another. First fight was done. Okay, I was so nervous, man. I was on the mount actually getting tired punching this guy on the mount. I was like so excited, but I thought, that's good. I haven't controlled it completely, but I know that the Enson before this first fight and the Enson after this fight will be able to react a little better in a situation of life and death. And
How did your training change from doing your jiu-jitsu training to getting your first fight? How did your preparation change, like from what the experience you had? Obviously, you had a purple belt, and now you're going into Vale Tudo fighting or MMA. What was it, the difference? Like, how did that look?
Well, it was all revolved around my jiu-jitsu. So we were training tackles, how to get the guy to the ground, to get him to the ground to use the jiu-jitsu. Sayama Satoru even made a new rule for that. They called it freestyle shuto, where they wouldn't have breaks on the ground. And freestyle shuto, aside from the shuto rules, is you could hit on the ground. Before the Shuto Association, you couldn't hit on the ground. So he made those certain rules which is now the rules that everyone fights by now. I think that was one of the first associations in Japan that actually allowed that. But he made those rules, and so what we were training for that first fight was just tackles. How to tackle, to get down, get the guy to the ground, to get him on the ground. So yeah, that's how the training started. I mean, our first 4 fights was all about getting the guy to the ground, getting the guy to the ground.
So tackle training, you're just training on tackling dudes.
Yep. Tackles, training, tackles. That's it, man. And then, after a while, after the fear in the ring, so one fight, I'm like, okay, done, finished. Sayama contacts me, man. Hey, front page not front page, but I got a big full color page in the fighting magazine on the second fight of the night, which you only get black and white names usually. I'm like, holy shit, front cover. And I remember it says, whoa, Monster That Knows Jiu-Jitsu. There's the title of it. And then Sayama was all excited. After all he did for me, he said, Enson, please fight again. I'm like, okay. Shit, I don't want to, but okay, I'll do it again. He wants me to fight in the Vale Tudo tournament in 1995. I remember Hickson was in it. I mean, not that I thought I could beat Hickson, but I just thought that it's a bad gesture to have Hickson in a tournament and have a possibility of me fighting him, almost like saying I'm okay with fighting Hickson. So when Sayama asked me to enter the tournament, I declined. I said, I don't want to fight in the tournament. I'll fight one match. So he put me in one match. Won that. Got a bigger write-up. Then he asked me for it. So up until the fourth fight, it happened like that. One more. The fourth fight, I fought Andre Menard, and he was like a K1, respected K1 fighter. And when I beat him pretty easily, something clicked inside of me saying, hey, you're pretty good at this, man. You should try and take it serious and see what you can do in the fights. So that's how it clicked. It clicked from wanting to control my anxiety to this curiosity of how good I am in the world. Maybe I am a good fighter in the world. That's what it clicked to, yeah. So that's what actually made me focus on becoming a full-time fighter and not someone that just wanted to get in the ring to experience anxiety. So that's the change that happened.
And then, so at what point did the Japanese people say, hey, this dude, because of the way he fights, we're watching him, and the inspiration, they said, hey, he is, the representative of samurai spirit, and gave you the name Yamato Damashi. How did that happen?
Okay, when I first went to Japan, I went as a Japanese boy from Hawaii. Consider myself Japanese. Went to Japan and got all this discrimination. U.S. passport, you're not Japanese, you're a foreigner. I'm like, whoa, I'm Japanese blood, no, but you're a foreigner. Had to get a visa, couldn't own a car, couldn't buy a house, had to get a visa to stay. If I came in without a visa, only had 3 months, I had to leave. And I'm just getting this real like, fuck you, Japan feeling like, man, I'm not one of you. Okay, fine, I don't want to be one of you kind of thing. Started fighting, and the first time when I started fighting, you notice I wore red, white, and blue shorts because I want to say, fuck you, Japan, I'm American. That's yeah, that's the reason why I wore that. And up until the fourth fight, it was like, okay, yeah, American, American, American. And then there was a time when they made a video and they put as Japanese on me. And I was kind of upset with that. I actually went to the person who did that and said, what the fuck, I'm not Japanese. They changed it to American. And as it went on, I started falling in love with the culture, fall in love with the people as they started accepting me. And the big change for me was when I went to Abu Dhabi. And I went as from Japan representative, and when I was walking out to fight the super fight with Mara Sperry, they were holding the Japan flag in front of me, and it was weird, man, because I felt proud of that. I know I was still American, but for some reason, Japan accepted me enough for me to represent them in something. I kind of felt proud of that, and just because of my fight style, my beliefs, the way I believe, the way I talked in interviews. In one of my interviews, before I fought in UFC 13, an interviewee came up to me and he said, hey, when I see you fight and when I see your interviews, one word comes to mind, Yamato Damashi. And I'm like, Yamato Damashi? I was like, never heard of it. Like, what does that mean? And he explained to me, it's a samurai spirit. It's a samurai spirit of never giving up, fighting to the very end, fighting for what you believe in, And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And that's how that got introduced to me. As far as the name becoming my nickname, when I went to fight in UFC 13, I had an idea of, okay, I've trained my whole career in Japan. I fought in Japan. Shuto's the one who got me the opportunity to fight. I gotta represent Japan. So when I went to UFC 13, I mentioned to Egan, I said, hey, I'm gonna make a shirt. I want to make kanji in the front because kanji looks cool, And then because I just had that interview, I told Egan, yeah, Yamato Damashi, I'll send him in an email the way it looks. I said, hey, this is a pretty cool kanji. And there's 3, so it'd be like, bum, 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 it's perfect, That's where the conversation ended. Egan actually was the one who went and said, oh, called his friend and printed some shirts up, brought it up to the fights. I wore it in the fight, had an awesome fight, armbarred Royce Alger in like 1 minute 39 seconds. And that's where the name took off. I mean, I think that's where it's all started. And that's where everyone was saying Yamato Damashi equals Enson Inoue, So that's where it kind of took off,
So you're
and as I fought, what it is, it helped solidify the idea that said, yeah, this guy is fucking the samurai, how I never tapped, how the way I fought is just, people saw it and said, this guy is real Yamato Damashi.
Your career, it built up, and then when was your first loss, or what happened? You're saying you had 4 or 5 fights. At what point did you become the Shuto champion? You were the heavyweight champion, right? Of Shuto.
Yeah. I had 2 losses before then, yeah. And the losses actually helped me. The first loss, I realized the guard position wasn't like definitely a good position, being on the bottom. So I believe in my career, I believe today too, that wins and losses means nothing when you're in the ring. When you get your hand raised in the ring, it's only on the surface. 2 fighters fight. If I fight in the ring and I get knocked out, and the ref raises the opponent's hand in the ring, it's not a loss for me. It's on record it's a loss, but I believe that losses and wins are only determined after the fight. The losses and fights will be confirmed. A loss or a win will be confirmed the next time you step in the ring. I believe if you can step in a better fighter than you did the last time, whether it's a loss or a win, you've won the last fight. Yeah, so it's about improving. It's about getting better. You're not going to ever be a perfect fighter. If you're caught with something, if you got a fighter was better than you because there's a certain technique that you didn't do good enough, if you can learn from that fight, become a better fighter in the next fight, the loss is a win, man. This is, I mean, losses and wins. A loss is something unfortunate. A win is something that you can translate in different ways. You got your hand race in the surface. It's hand raised in the ring. Or you can consider a win as something that's became an advantageous situation. And if the loss that I lost in the ring, if it made me a better fighter, it wasn't a loss to me, it was a win. So that's how I believe it. Like I believe that 100%, man. So, losses and wins aren't determined right after the fight. It's determined what you do with what happens.
So did you ever feel like you lost, or did you win all your fights?
Undefeated. I've never been broken in my heart in the ring, and I've always learned something from my losses, and I've come back a better fighter. 100%, man. 100%.
And now, on the surface, I think it's super impressive that you actually beat Randy Couture, right, when he was the UFC heavyweight champion. To a lot of your normal fans, that's extremely interesting information. Just the average person doesn't. I mean, I think you're looking at stuff on a way deeper level than most people do, and it is extremely inspiring. Just the way that you could describe that. That you're growing spiritually and you're not defeated in your heart and spirit, so you won. That's amazing. What was the Randy Couture experience like? Because you did, surface, you got your hand raised in that one. And he was the UFC heavyweight champion at the same time, which, I mean, that's just insane, man.
Well, the fight was my gains, my victory in that fight was all the way up until the fight. Whether I won or lost in the fight, whether I learned anything in the fight or not, there was so much learning that happened building up to that fight. Everybody counted me out, man. Everybody, my friends, my sparring partners, all the freaking writers would ask me questions like, "Oh, you're fighting Randy Couture. Are you gonna be okay? He's a heavyweight champion, and all this. He's never lost, all this kind of stuff." And at first, it was like, "Yeah, I'm be okay. I'm gonna give my best, 100%. If he makes a mistake, I'm gonna lock it up." All this kind of. After a while, man, in Japan, when you're in one of the main events of the fights, you're literally going through 2 or 3 interviews a day for the whole week. I mean, at least for like 2-3 months before the fight. Every single day, you got newspaper, magazines, videos, internet, everything. I mean, it's like ridiculous. Hard to train with it. And just imagine that, man. Every guy coming to you with this look on their face, like, "Holy fuck, you're fighting Randy Couture. Are you gonna be okay?" kind of thing. Like, it got to a very, very irritating point for me where, I'm telling I'm always almost all right telling these people, like, Randy's human, man. If I lock up his arm, my hips will break his arm. If I lock up a choke, he's going to go to sleep like everyone else. And these people were kind of like, "Yeah, but it's Randy Couture," kind of thing. Like, got really irritating for me. That's the reason why in the ring after I won, I grabbed the mic and I said to all of you who thought I was going to fuck you and turn the mic down. I was just so frustrated up to that point, but what people don't understand is in any fight that you take, in any job opportunity, in any challenge that you take in life, it'd be stupid to take a challenge that was 100% absolutely no chance of success. But I don't think it's a stupid thing if you take a job opportunity or a challenge or a fight that your percentages aren't good, but there is a percentage that you could succeed in what you do. You know, for me, I could explain Randy's one like if you have 100 roads, say each percent is a road to victory, and out of 100 roads, 99 goes to Randy winning, but one road goes to me winning. I don't care how many roads. I don't care if there's 1,000 roads. If this one road is a road that we walk, I don't care if he has 1,000,000 roads. You only can walk one road in the fight. And if that road is a road that I am going to win, that's the road we're going to walk. The 100,000, million, whatever other roads is not going to be walked on. That's the way it is. If we walk one of his roads to win, my road's not going to be walked on. But you know what? I had one road, man, and it was my job to train hard and to dictate the fight in a way that the road that we walk is going to be my road. Yeah? So the roads all come together at times, you know, but at the end, it goes off into that one Enson winning. Then at the end, all the other 99 roads cluster together into one era of Randy winning. But in the meantime, we cross over, you know. So on those crossovers is a chance that you can pull it to your side, and that's where you get the victory. And I always believed that. I always thought that, you know what, yeah, 99% chance Randy wins, but you know what? It's all I know is not zero for me. It's not zero for me. I'm going to train as hard as I can and do the best of my abilities to make it so we can walk my one road. Yeah, so that's pretty much what happens. And for me, I learned so much, man. I learned that, you know, that you don't ever give up on yourself. If there's a chance that you can do something, whether it's fighting or in a job or it's something that you're challenged to do, if you can do it, I'd say go for it, man. I learned a lot in that fight.
That's legendary, man. There's
another thing I wanted to touch on. The anxiety thing, controlling your anxieties. You know, it's such a mental thing. Yeah? When I was playing racquetball, we used to listen to a lot of mental toughness tapes. You know, like psychology. So there was one that really stands out. It gives a good example of how your thought process or your anxiety can change a lot the way it can interfere with what you do normally. So, for example, if I gave you this situation where I had a 6x4 board, piece of wood, and it was like 20 feet long, and I put it on the ground, put it on the grass in my yard, and I put a little pebble on $100 bill, and told you that if you can walk on this plank without touching the grass, I'll give you the $100 bills. To the $100 bill, pick it up, it's yours. You're going to probably focus on the $100 bill. The plank is right there on the grass. There's no danger. So what your focus is going to be is focusing on getting that money. So you're going to you got to think it's a 6-inch by 4-inch board. So you got 6 inches to walk. You're probably going to make fun of me for being so stupid and giving you the chance. Like giving you a $100 bill. You'll probably laugh and look at me and kind of close your eyes sometimes and walk there, get up there and pick up a $100 bill. Fine. Well, now, if I look at you and I say, okay, let's take the same board. I'll give you another 100. I'll bring that same fucking pebble and put it on the rock. But this time, the plank is going to be at the edge of 2 different 10-story buildings. So one end of the plank's going to be on this building, and 20 feet away, the other side of the plank's going to be on the other side of the building. I put the $100 bills. In fact, I might nail it in because of the wind, so I nail it into the board, and I tell you, okay, walk across the board again, and then the $100 bills is yours. I tell you what, man, I'm not saying you're not going to make it, but I tell you what, man, what's going to happen to your walking ability? It's going to get fucked up because you're going to start shimmying across the board. All of a sudden, you're going to start losing balance. You're going to be worried about that. Why? Nothing has changed. It's the same board, same money, same pebble. I mean, whatever. You know, it's the same thing. The only thing that's changed is your focus. Now you're no longer focusing on the towards success. You're focusing on the penalties to failure. So now that anxiety of failing, anxiety of thinking of what might happen if you fail, it just distorts your ability to move, to think straight, to walk straight. Something as simple as walking. I mean, when you get up and walk every day, you don't think, okay, right leg, now left leg. You don't even think of walking. It's such an instinctive thing. And that focus and that fear of falling is going to disrupt something that you do so systematically. So what that situation proves to you is that your focus can change so many things. I mean, just a difference of what you're focusing on is going to change what you can do. And being able to change, if you can be strong enough to control that anxiety and focus on that $100 bill, you probably could walk normal, but normal people won't because of that. So it really, really matters, what you focus on. So that was a good example for me to know that, hey, anxiety can change a lot of things, man. If you got to learn to control that.
You had said something else to me that I really, really enjoyed. I thought, I was like, wow, man, that's like one of the coolest things I've ever heard. You're talking about what you're focused on, and one thing, is your willingness, to die. You went into the fights with that type of mentality, and you said you also would train to die. That's what's on the line, is your life's on the line, so you would train to live. And you said like you would try to beat your body by maybe throwing a countless amount of kicks or whatever, or punches, and you just said that it's not even possible, right? You can't even humanly defeat your body, and you literally trained that way and like pushed yourself to the utter limits of your human capabilities and could not defeat yourself, right? I just thought that, I was like, oh, man.
Well, to elaborate on that, you think about when fighters give up, yeah, like you see fighters tap out in the fight. You see fighters, like even someone as warrior like McDonald when he fought Lawler. You saw him get that last punch in the nose and kind of like fell back and like didn't want to fight anymore. 99% of the fighters that give up in any type of fight, it isn't because their body gave up. It's because mentally, spiritually, they've been defeated. Yeah. So, I mean, you think about it, man. I mean, when you in an armbar in a choke, well, the reason why you tap is not because your arm's already broke, because 99% of the fighters walk out of an armbar that they tapped on and go drink beer that night. They go gamble. They go shake their fighters' hands because their arm is still good. Rarely, like Nogueira, maybe Misha Tate, very rarely do you have fighters that actually, or Renzo Gracie, that actually break their arm and give up, or before they end the fight. But so a lot of times it's your body still can go. You're getting choked. The last fight you see in Rizin, same thing. These guys can still fight, but they're anticipating passing out, so they give up. So these guys, everyone, mentally gets defeated before their body does, and I always thought about that, like, shit, that's kind of true, man. All these guys that's given up in all the fights that I've seen, they could have still fought. But mentally they've anticipated the outcome, or mentally because it was getting so physically strenuous, they mentally folded. I think McDonald is the same way. He walked out of the ring. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the guy, but as warrior-like as he fought, I was disappointed how it ended, because as those punches he took, the way he stood toe-to-toe, for him to end on that one punch on his nose because maybe it shattered it more or whatever, it was a mental defeat. He gave up, it wasn't because it shattered his nose and the nose triggered all the muscles of his body to fail. No, it triggered something in here and in here. They made him realize that, holy fuck, I don't know if I'm willing to take this damage. I don't want to fight anymore. So it broke him here, yeah? So, it's like, I always thought that, and I remember coming back for one of my fights and thinking, okay, let's see. Let me see if that is really true. So I actually went into, I called my kickboxing gym that I went to in the New Year's my spirit training, because this guy pushes you to a point where spiritually you're going to break. So I went in there thinking, okay, this, if I'm going to be able to overcome my body, overcome my mind, and make my body break down instead, this is where I'm going to do it. So I went into the gym, and I remember we're doing low kicks. And a lot of times, mentally, I pull back on my kicks because I know when I'm doing these kicks, we have 5-minute rounds. Doing the kicks, and I'm thinking, oh fuck, in like 2 minutes, my legs are burning. I can feel my power diminishing. I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to throw as hard now. Maybe I'm going to just start like just controlling my kicks more, just so I can last a round. So mentally already I'm failing. My body's not failing. My body's burning, yes. It's hurting, yes, but it's not to a point where it can't kick anymore. It still can kick, but I just don't know if I want to deal with that pain. So I remember telling myself that, okay, mentally I'm not going to let up. So I'm not going to pull back and go 80% of my body because I know I have 5 minutes. I'm going to continue at 100%, 110%, and continue until my body drops. So I want to kick and kick and kick until my body drops. I couldn't do it, man. I mean, at 2 minutes, my legs were burning, everything was burning, but I literally closed my eyes and just kept kicking at 100% as hard as I could. Boom, boom, kick after kick after kick. And I was saying, okay, I'm thinking to myself, okay, wow, what happens when the body fails? Do I just collapse? What happens? I don't know what happens. Kicking, thinking, okay, all I know is mentally I'm going to go 100% until I drop. So, okay, this is like my little test, man. I'm going to just see if I can break my body, overcome the body with my mind. I couldn't. The round ended, man. And I realized that day, man, fuck, it is so hard for your body to fail, man. God has made your body so good. It is so hard for the body to fail, man. And then you think about it, man. I mean, I've maybe seen it a couple instances in sports. Like there's an instance where a lady was running a marathon, and at like maybe like 100 meters from the finish line, she collapsed, and then she started crawling to the finish line. Okay, I admit that lady physically broke down. Her mind beat her body, but man, you can almost count them on one hand the times in sports that has happened. And unfortunately, myself, I can't say that I've done that. I mean, Igor Vovchanchin's fight, yeah, my body still, as bad as my body was, if they let me fight that next round, I probably would have stood and probably thrown toe down. So I didn't, as much as they let the fights go on back in our day, they still stopped it to a point where you couldn't actually do that in the ring. And even now, it's even worse. They stop it even sooner. I always like to say that saying is when the warrior starts in a fighter is when the fight stopped today. So yeah, so that was one of the things that I think you enjoyed when we talked about. The other thing I think it was that the tapping. When I tap, people think it's about being tough. But like I said earlier, it's anticipation. Fighters don't tap because of the pain. Fighters don't tap because of body failure. They tap because they break here. And the easiest way to break here is the anticipation of what they think is going to happen. Okay? I hear my arm's, hearing gets to my arm, and my arm is popping. What the normal anticipation to that is my arm's going to break. That's freaking scary, man. Getting in a choke. Getting choked, and you ever been choked? It's like a vice, man. It's like an anaconda squeezing your neck. You can't even say help. Boom, you're on, and it's on, and right there, mind starts anticipating about you passing out, so that fear makes you quit and tap out. I don't want to pass out. I don't want my arm to break. Tap out, yeah. So a lot of times when people fight, not a lot of times, I said 99% of the times when fighters tap, is because they're anticipating what they think is going to be the outcome, and it scares them, and that's why they tap. Everyone says that I'm a warrior. I'm someone that can also withstand pain, and I'm tough as nails because I don't tap. And that has nothing to do with it. I'm one of the few fighters, I believe, that 100% was ready to die in the ring. I mean, some people may say this podcast and gawk at me and saying, "Yeah, die in the ring, yeah, right." But you know what? All those people who doubt that, fuck you. You know what? I was ready to die in the ring 100%. I trained that way. I trained every day, understanding that the harder I trained, the less chances it was that I was going to die in the ring. You know, I didn't want to get up the next day. But you know what? More than I didn't want to get up and train under the pain. I didn't want to die even more than that. So I got up and trained. I got up and got ready, you know. And then think about it, man. When I walked into that ring, you know how hard it is to walk into a place that you possibly admitted in your heart that you possibly might die. Anyone who knows could see in the future and say, okay, you're going to die at Disneyland in Tokyo. Just stay away from Disneyland and Tokyo if you don't want to die. You know what I mean? But I admitted in my heart that I was going to die in the ring that day. There's a good chance that I was going to die. And I had to walk to that place under my own will. I had to walk in there and I had to prepare myself to that, to go to that spot and hope that my preparation was enough not to die. But in order to walk in there with my head up high, in order to walk in there like a warrior, in my 3 months of hard training, I accepted in my heart that I was going to die that night. And I wrote letters to all the people that I loved. I even like somebody would tell me like if the fight's on the 10th and they say on the 15th we have a big party, can you come? I'm like, as I'm telling them, yeah, I don't have anything, I'll make it. I'm thinking, oh yeah, if I'm alive, yeah. Under my breath, I'm thinking, yeah, the 10th might be my last day, but hey, if it's a good day and I get lucky and I'm alive, I'll be there. You know, kind of thing. As I think in my head, I didn't tell people that. So, 100%, I accepted the fact. I didn't want to, I didn't plan to, but I knew that it was possible, and I accepted it in my heart 100% that there's a possibility I was going to die. So, you know, hey, I'm accepting death. An armbar isn't shit. A choke isn't. Going unconscious isn't nothing, you know. So people say, you know, you don't tap in the ring. It's incredible. One, I didn't anticipate the outcome. Two, I accepted death. You know, break my arm, break it in half. The bone sticks out, whatever. You know what? I'm still alive. That's so. Arm broken with the bone sticking out with a compound fracture is nothing even. That's like 10% of death. You're not going to die from that. You still got this arm, you still got this legs. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's extreme. It's extreme and probably not good for the sport. But that's the way I fought. That's the way I thought. Is break my arm, I got another arm. Break these arms, I got my legs, man. But you know what? Break all my limbs, it ain't going to kill me. So for me, I felt like a broken arm, my arm popping when Heath Herring cranked my arm is not something that I'm going to tap for if I accepted death. Yeah. So in any job, you know, in anything in life, man. If you're willing, you know, you go to Vegas and you're willing to spend $1,000 in the casino, okay, and you lose 500, you're not going to cry and walk to your room and say, I quit, or I'm going home. I'm not going to know, because you accepted losing $1,000 in the casino. Kind of type of metaphor is kind of almost in the same lines, that you've already accepted losing 1,000. You walk away losing 1,000, you go, oh shit, I lost my 1,000, damn. But it ain't gonna break you because you already accepted it. If you were planning to only play 200 and you lost 1,000, that would fucking hurt you, man. You'd be like, holy fuck, what am I gonna do? I can't pay my bills now, you know, that kind of shit. But yeah, it's just an example of, man, I accepted the fact that I was gonna die in the ring. So a broken arm and being choked unconscious from the choke was really nothing compared to dying.
So when you went into a fight, did you had no concept in your mind like, I'm gonna win this round? or like the fight's 20 minutes or whatever? What were the fights, 20 minutes? Like, you're like, kill or be killed is how you're thinking.
Yeah, my fights were pretty much that. It was just, I'm going to give everything I have, all the weapons and all the strength that I've created through the 3 months of training. I'm going to put on this guy and break him. I'm going to break him before he breaks me, or kind of in the extreme level. I'm gonna kill him before I get killed. You know, so it wasn't. I wasn't when I was hitting him. I wasn't hitting him to knock him out. I was hitting him to hurt him, to kill him. When I have an armbar and I'm cranking the armbar. I'm not cranking the armbar waiting for him to tap. I'm cranking the armbar to crank it and fold that shit backwards and bringing that arm home at me. You know, so it wasn't. It was the way I was. You know, it wasn't. It wasn't anything like a sport for me.
Um, do you think that you were pretty close to dying in that Igor fight? Because I saw that fight actually, and you looked like, you looked like you were about to die. I mean, that's kind of what it looked like. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it was way beyond anything you'd ever see now, Like, they would never let a fight go like that. I can't imagine. I could never imagine it going to that point, And I do know you did. You told me, I was like, whoa, when you were telling me your hospital experience and everything. I mean, how close do you think you were? I mean, did it feel like you were going to die? Like, how did you feel like going through all that? What was that like?
Physically, because spiritually I was so in tune and my heart was so adjusted to giving 100%. I was so focused on that. Even when I got up to walk to the corner, I felt like my spirit was able to walk to the corner, but my body just, the tool that I had physically wouldn't allow my spirit to walk to the corner. As far as dying, my spirit felt like I would go the next round. I thought, okay, he got a cut. I'm going to throw down him. I'm going to hit that cut again. I'm going to open it up across his face this time. Thinking that kind of stuff, thinking second round. Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. Yeah. Every time I sat up, my head would spin. I was in intensive care for the first 2 days, where I would sit up and look right across, and there was 24-hour nurses right across my room. So,
oh my God,
that just tells me it was pretty bad. I mean, as far as spiritually, I didn't feel it, man. I just thought, like, people would come to see me, and I would be like, it would be like, fuck, man, looking at me like someone fucking died, and I'm like, I'm okay, man. What's the deal, dude? I'm okay. I'm gonna get me out of this fucking hospital. I'm back in the train. I'm gonna get ready for the next fight. I felt like that. When I finally got to walk the 3 days later and looked at myself in the mirror, man, holy fuck, my face was like lopsided. It wasn't. I was so lopsided. My head is already kind of pointed as it is, but it even looked more pointed because the sides were so lopsided, and it wasn't lopsided to a perfect contour. It was kind of lopsided this way. I couldn't. My mouth was really bad. My jaw, I couldn't open my jaw. My jaw was broken. My finger was broken. I sat up, got dizzy because I had a huge hole in this left ear. My ear was perforated. And I looked in the mirror, man. It looked like I got into a face-on car wreck. Like I ran face-on to a truck. And that's when I realized that when people came in and saw me, saw the intravenous in me, saw the 24-hour nurses across, and looked at me and saw the swelling in my color in my face, I could see why they were freaking out, But I don't know. I mean, I wanted to fight, I wanted to fight the next round. But little did I know physically, unless they gave me 4 or 5 days between rounds, I probably couldn't have stood up in that second round, which I didn't realize. Yeah.
I mean, you said you had major brain swelling, right? Was that? Do you know?
Brain swelling.
Do you know what the cause was of? Because you kind of, I mean, you explained it in your book, right? You said your legs didn't work, right? You're like, my legs, for the first time in my life, they don't even work. I don't know,
Didn't feel like my legs. Yeah, it was like it's almost like when you have those little puppets that you can control, but then the string to the legs are disconnected. So you're trying to control it, but the legs are just still dangling with no feeling. That's what it felt like when I was trying to walk to the corner and I was falling. And Egan and them were dragging me. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with my legs, kind of thing, As far as the brain swelling, It was due to a lot of punches in the head. Yeah. So Igor hit me with a lot. And something about Igor's punches, it wasn't like surface punches. It felt like it was going through my head kind of punches. It felt different than Mark Kerr's punches. Mark Kerr's punches, I had more physical cuts and scrapes, but Igor's one, it was like I felt like it was like going through my head kind of thing. Yeah. As far as the liver, they say that the muscles all work together. So if any muscle in your body, whether it's your leg or your face or your arm or whatever, any muscle gets hit so bad it lets off toxins. And what happens is your muscles all work as a team. So if my calf or whatever leg gets hit so bad that it starts letting off toxins, the whole body lets off toxins, and that's what affects the liver. So my liver was 2,000 times the count of a normal man, and I felt nothing. So when the doctor told me that, and he looked super concerned about that, they were giving me something in the intravenous to bring that down to. But I was telling the doctor, man, I feel fine. What are you talking about? He said, I said, he's looking at me like I might die kind of thing, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if what you feel, no, but I know what I feel, and it ain't that bad. And he explained to me that the liver is not something. The liver is something that when it fails, it hits a wall and just disappears. So it's like kind of like, okay, boom, done. So that's what he explained to me, and I didn't understand that. I thought it was kind of like any type of sickness or injury. It starts getting worse to a point where it's like, oh, it's all fucked up. But he told me that the liver, you don't really feel it, and when it hits, it just hits. And so he was like in panic trying to bring my count down. So yeah, so I didn't know that either. So perfect eardrum was bad too. It was like spinning in my head. Felt like the room was kind of going like this whenever I sat up, so I had to lay down the whole time. Yeah. So I don't know how I can't really. I didn't die, so I can't say how close I was to dying. The human body is an amazing thing, so I can't say how much more I could have took. Um, it's pretty. It was pretty shitty experience as far as after the fight, the rehabilitation and the care and the damage that I had. But I really couldn't honestly give you an estimate of how close I was to dying because I don't know where that line is. If I could see a line that says, okay, if you cross that line, you're dead. And then all my injuries, I was like right at the edge of the line. I could tell you, but I have no idea, man. I have no idea. And it was a bad injury. It was a long 3 months. I think three to 4 months to recover from that. I mean, where I could actually start functioning normally. But I don't know.
But you said your spirit was going strong the whole time. I never even wavered.
Well, my spirit was fucking going like this, man. Come on, let's go. It's just the thing, the object that my spirit used to walk the physical earth was incapacitated. It wasn't capable of going any further. So it was a weird feeling, man. Because usually, a lot of times, if you're not focusing enough, as you're physically going down, spiritually you're getting broken, yeah. But like Rory McDonald, when he fought, as he was physically getting beat, his spirit was slowly getting beat too, to the point where that one left cross just broke him to give up, yeah. But it was weird, man. That was a crazy situation because I felt like you could see in the fight sometimes I get hit with a huge punch, and I'll look in my corner, whether they were questioning me or anything. I went on my own to look at my corner and say, I'm okay, kind of thing. I don't know, man. It felt like the harder I got hit, the more my spirit was saying, "Fuck yeah, give me more. I can take it." I don't know. It was weird, man. It was as my body was breaking down, I could see my spirit just burning with fire. It was when I'm in the corner in the ring and the ref is telling me that the fight's over. My body's straight up going, fucking A, it is, kind of like, yeah, I'm done, man. But my spirit was kind of like, it's kind of funny because my body's pretty much, I couldn't walk. I couldn't even sit up on the stool right. But when my spirit heard that they're starting the fight, it was like, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of thing, It's like, it kind of was weird, to have that,
Yeah. I mean, when because like you said, all things happen for a reason, and bad things could be good things. Is that the ultimate kind of gift in your life? Was that fight, even though you lost it, it was the ultimate Yamato Damashi experience of your lifetime?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, the best fight of my life wasn't Randy Couture. The best fight of my life was Igor Vovchanchin and Frank Shamrock. Those are the two fights that defined me and built me as a man. Made me realize how strong I am. Made me gave me those tests of overcoming those things. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as my career, man, those two fights, uh, Igor Vovchanchin and Frank Shamrock, man, those were the two fights that really, to this day, man, I I cherish that.
Yeah, that fight with Frank, man, that's like you know, it's like a beautiful fight. I love to watch that, when you and him were trading because it just looks um there's no other way to explain it, man. It's beautiful, It's like aesthetically, it's like a art piece, to watch that fight or like a great song or something, you know what I mean? That I love that fight.
I mean, it ended perfect too. One of us went down, man. I mean, of course, the cherry on the top would have been sweeter if it was my punch that landed and knocked him down. But whether it was me or him, man, that's like my dream of Vanderlei. Fighting Vanderlei, like I said, fireworks goes off and the smoke clears. One of us is standing. That would be my ultimate fight, and that's what happened in Frank Shamrock's. It wasn't like it doesn't need to be me, man. It's not about victory. It's about push going 100% like that, and it was that Frank Shamrock fight was like that. The only fight I think that could have been better was me and Vanderlei standing toe to toe. We'll never know, though. I guess unfortunately.
Yeah, you ended up fighting Noguera, and he choked you out, right? Noguera.
Yes, triangle. Yeah.
He caught you in a triangle, and you were like, I ain't tapping, and you just went out.
Well, you know what? See, like I said, not only did I accept the fact that I was going to die, my focus, when you get into a situation like that, and when any person gets put into a situation that's a very life and death situation or a very dangerous situation, you gotta react like that. If you're driving a car and a kid jumps in the car, you can't stop and say, okay, wait a minute now. Okay, if I turn right, then there's no fire hydrant there, but if I turn left, there's a car. Maybe I want to hit the car instead of fire. You can't do that. It's something instinctive. It just pops into your head, man. If you see the car, that blocks that option. So all of a sudden you're going to the right. You know what I mean? It's like something that happens like that. You get options that pop into your head without you making a chance to analyze it. So if you're not focused as a fighter and you get into that situation, the options you're going to have is tap out or get your arm broke, or tap out or knock out, go to sleep. And if you get that, any logical person would be, fuck, I'm tapping out because I don't want to go to sleep. I'm tapping out because I don't want my arm broke, because I want to recover faster. I want to get into the next fight. I don't want to have any permanent damage on my arm. I mean, that's the thing. But for me, I was so focused on what I was doing, was that all the time when I was training and focusing so much on possibly dying in the ring, that didn't pop into my head. The option that popped into my head was, boom, you're going to pass out or you got to get the fuck out of this. I mean, if there was option number 3 that you could tap out, I would probably tap out. But you know what? I'm not a tough guy. I just didn't have those options. When I was in that situation, it didn't come up. They didn't come into my head. That's all it was, man. So when Noguera put me in the triangle, I was like, I remember thinking, oh, fuck, this is tight. Okay, I got to open up my arm. So I was trying to, but he was already closing it, and I was opening it, saying, okay, I got to relax, got to make mace. Okay, so I'm here trying to think, okay, I gotta breathe, I gotta relax, and I'm here, and then I remember thinking at the very last moment was, fuck, I wonder how it feels to pass out. And the next thing I remember, I was laying on my back, so it was it was never an option for me, and it's not because I'm tough. It's just the way I live my life and the way I train, my focus that I have in the way, the Yamato Damashi way, is that option never came into my head, you know. So that's what I mean. I got
So
choked out. I was going to sleep.
so every fight you were like, someone's gonna die today is your mindset.
Yes, yes,
You're
hundred
either
percent, man.
kill or be killed.
Yes, yes. I mean, not like in this sporty thing. Ah, kill or be killed. No, no, no. Literally, I was gonna hurt and kill this guy, or he was gonna kill me. You know, I literally like. Okay, when a person dies, yeah, when you're dead, it's over. There's no pain. There's nothing. You're gone. You're done. What is your concern when you die? Your girlfriend or your wife, your mother, your friends, all these people you're leaving behind, and how much they're going to hurt and how much they're going to suffer at your death. You know, so for me to die, my biggest thing was I'm worried about the people that I care about, and I want them to be cushioned as much as I can make so that they don't have a hard fall on my death. You know, so I've accepted death so much to a point where before all my fights, I would write letters. I wrote letters to my mom. I wrote letters to my dad. I wrote letters to my girlfriend at the time. I wrote letters to all the people that were dear to me. And their letters were just letting them know that, hey, smile, man. I accepted my death and it's all good. Don't worry. Don't shed a tear. If you're going to shed a tear for me, just shed a tear because you're going to miss all the good times we're not going to do together anymore. But don't shed a tear because you're bummed that I died, because I'm fine and I accepted it. You know, so I feel like seeing a letter like that would cushion that for those people thinking, oh, fucking guy was actually ready to die, man. Ah, shit, he went the way he wanted. If you think of someone that you love suffering in death in a plane crash, and you know how you hear on CNN, it's a big thing about if the passengers knew they were going down or not. Why? Because the families didn't want to know that they suffered before their death, or they had that I don't want to die. You know, that makes it so much harder to accept the death. But if you didn't feel it, it just blew up. Okay, they didn't feel any pain. Okay, it makes it better for them. So in my letters that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to make them understand that, you know, please don't be sad, man. It's all good. So that's how much I accepted death in the ring, that I wrote letters to all those people. One of my students knew where those letters were. If I died, he was instructed to get those letters and pass it out to the people. If I lived, I would get those letters and I would burn them all. Every fight I would write a different letter. The things I said would be different. The people I write to might change. So every fight I would write different letters. That's how much I accepted it.
So only you and God know what those letters said, really?
Pretty much, pretty much, man.
He's got them up there. You just send them up.
Yeah, really. The atmosphere got it.
Hey, that's what I did, man. I sent up that last podcast we did. I said, God, that's yours, I guess, you know.
It's in a good place then, man.
Oh man, that was like the you losing the racquetball, man. It was like it's just like, no, oh my God. Oh man.
But look what we're getting now, dude. What we're getting now, man. We're getting a video conference. You're seeing me not only talk about it, you're seeing it in my eyes how much I mean what I'm saying. You know, you got something so much, I think it's so much better. And if you didn't fuck up on that last one, you wouldn't have this one, you know.
You know, it's interesting too, because I kind of learned a lesson in my mind, like literally after that last podcast we did. I thought to myself, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. You know, I was like, I just made the best podcast ever, right? And I'm thinking, dude, this is it's like a diamond, you know, and I just lost it, and it's gone, you know. And I was I was like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, right? I'm just like, the precious is gone. I lost it, right? And and I was totally just devastated. I couldn't eat. I mean, that sounds horrible, but it's important to me, right? Like for me, this is a huge deal. And I was like, oh my God. But you know how I got to grips with it? I swear this is how I came to grips with it. I was like, I talked to a bunch of people. I told them what happened. I was like, man. And they said, dude, you got to just tell them. Like, you got to man up. You got to tell them what happened, you know. And I realized I was like, I was like, I could just tell talking to you. I was like, this guy's just a super sincere, totally genuine guy. I mean, that's the biggest thing I noticed talking to you. I was like, this guy's so sincere, just that's it. That's like the best way to describe Enson Inoue, in my opinion. And I was like, I was like, if I ask him a question, it doesn't matter if I ask it one time or if I ask it 1,000 times, man. It's going to be a sincere answer, and I'm going to get the same diamond that I lost. I lost it, but it's in you. You know what I mean? It's just who you are. It's like, that's all it is. All I got to do is ask you these questions, and it's not going to change. It's not lost. It's not gone. You know what I mean?
True.
It didn't go up into freaking, you know what I mean? Because that's what I felt at first. I was like, oh my God, dude, I just lost that. But that's how I came to grips with it. I was like, it's okay. All I have to do is walk through it again. Walk through the same thing that we walked through last time. If I ask you about that fight, listen, dude, that's the same, you know what I mean? I mean, it might be a little tiny bit different. I don't know, but it was the same thing, Everything you believe is what it is. It's just what you believe in. It's just who you are,
It's genuine, man. There's no political interference. There's no what I should say or I shouldn't say. I'm not saying stuff on what I feel. It's straight up from the heart, man. You can ask me the same questions. You can ask me the same question 2 years from now. You probably get the exact same story and the same impact and the same intensity.
Yes, man. And that right away, I could say like the influence of the podcast we did, it changed me like immediately. I started, because I think about things and I try, you try to figure out stuff in life or whatever. And it's like, if you could just be a genuine person like you are, I mean, I was like, you know what? Anything I'm talking about, I just need to be honest, If I could just be honest and say the truth, it just brings me peace. And it's, I don't know, man. It's like perfect. You know what I mean? It's just perfect. If you could be sincere, you could say anything. You don't have to worry about, how are people going to take this? Or, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm just being true and let that be what it is, And it's already influenced my life, honestly.
Man, it's fine. Be who you are. Have confidence in who you are. And if you believe in who you are, just do what you believe is right, man.
That's good advice, man. I think I was making the screen go back and forth there. Sorry about that. Okay, let me see here. So, boom, we went through the fights. There was 2 fights that, I didn't actually bring this up last time, but I had written it down because I thought I'm interested to see what, how you feel about it. In the Heath Herring fight and the Tommy Sawyer fight, I thought that, the referee just couldn't really see what was going on in that position, and they just stopped it, because they couldn't see. I mean, it's obviously if you're getting kneed in the head, that's scary, but they couldn't really see you, and so they kind of stopped it early. Like, is that how you felt about those fights? That's what I thought about them.
Yeah, both of them. I felt the same way. The Heath Herring fight, to explain that one, I had a pink eye in both eyes on that fight. So, in actuality, that fight not supposed to have happened. So, I had pink eye. I caught it like a couple weeks before the fight, so it was full blown during the fight. So, I skipped the press conference. I skipped the picture taking. and I just went in for the medical before the fight. They apparently they've noticed that I had pink eye. They were shining the light in my eye, and it hurt. You know, when you have pink eye, you can't really open your eyes that much, and when you do open it and there's a bright light, it's like it hurts your eyes. So I think the doctor knew that, and the doctor, I just kept telling the doctor, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, but I couldn't look into his light, so he knew something was wrong. So I was amazed that they let the fight go. And if you watch that video of that fight, you know, when I was standing in the ring, you could see when the lights went on, I was kind of like, whoa, I couldn't really see. But apparently, because of my condition, the only reason why they allowed the fight to go on is the doctor told the referee that if there's any sign of any danger, stop the fight early. So that's pretty much what happened. You know, I mean, when he was kneeing me in the head, he hit me with one, and then the one they stopped it on, it hit my arm. So it was a premature stoppage, I believe. But if you consider all the things that they had, that this fight not supposed to have even happened, the only reason why they let it happen was because they felt they knew I was in bad condition, but they wanted to just let the fight go, and they would stop it a little earlier. So, you know, that's understandable. The Tommy Sauer fight, yeah, that was disappointing. I think it was a bad judgment on the referee, but the referee's job is the hardest job in the world, you know, and it's my job to not let him even think for an inkling that I'm in trouble that bad that he has to stop it. So every person has their own different opinion on what they see, and if his opinion was a little more cautious than what mine would have been, or a little more safe than what I had an opinion actually taking the blows, that's the way it is, you know. It's not like he did anything wrong. I mean, it's unfortunate. I definitely could have gone on, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. It's interesting because you had a gap, a really long gap, in between your second to last fight and your very last fight, right? And that's because there's some stuff tied to that, right? Like, is that when, I'm trying to remember, you after you were done fighting, did you go on a pilgrimage immediately, or did you go to prison first and then a pilgrimage? Or prison was first?
Yeah, the reason why I took that last fight was because I went to prison, and when I went to prison, there was like a whole write-up on, I mean, not write-up, it was on national TV. All the stations throughout Japan, it showed me walking in handcuffs with the police escorting me out of the prisons. So my reputation was damaged. I was caught with possession of marijuana, so I was considered someone who did drugs. So aside from the big offer that I got as far as money wise, the other intriguing thing for me to take that fight was because I felt that I could clear my image, because we take drug tests, and marijuana, as you know, in Japan they don't really test for steroids, but marijuana is something that they test for. They're pretty hardcore on that. So for me to fight, I would have to have proven that I passed the test. And then the second thing was I wanted to show the people that I was back. You know, I was back, you know, in tune. I was back in training. Everything was going well. So that's the reason why.
Did that kind of label you, or are you labeled like, are you considered like a Yakuza member, or like how are you? Did that kind of make you look like they're like that Yakuza boss or something, or like what was that image like in the papers and stuff and in Japan?
No, it doesn't need. It did that arrest didn't have anything to do with it. It all depends on who you talk to. It all depends on who you talk to. People will tell you I'm Yakuza. People will tell you that I run a Yakuza family. You know, Can you turn the lights? Yeah, so it all depends who you talk to. So it's that reputation I got. The thing about it is I have a lot of friends that are yakuza. I have a lot of people that I've seen wet eating. A lot of people in my family, the Yamato Damashi family, that are yakuza, high up yakuza figures. So a lot of people like to classify me in that. Um, if you have to, how they say there's two sides of the fence. There's the legitimate side and the illegitimate side. If you have to choose what side of the fence I'm on, you would most people would probably say I'm in the illegitimate side. Yeah, so it depends who you talk to. I'm not yakuza. I've never been a yakuza. I have no desire to become a yakuza. I have no need to become a yakuza. I have friends. Yes, I do have friends. I have people I call brothers, people that I would die for, and people that would die for me that are yakuza. Do I do business with yakuza? No, I don't have any business with yakuza. But yeah, some yakuza do buy my bracelets. Yeah, I mean, if you consider that business, fine. I do have yakuza guys who donate money to the missions up north. If you consider that business, well, yes, then they do business. You know, it's a funny thing, how the internet can blow things up. I mean, I know my reputation in the internet is underworld figure, yakuza ties, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I do have yakuza ties. I'm not a yakuza. I'm not an underworld figure, and I think I'm more legitimate than illegitimate now. Back in the day, maybe not, but now, yeah, I'm totally legitimate.
Um, when you went to prison, you said that that's where. Did you find God in prison, or had you already found God and you got closer to God? Um, or what? What's the story there?
Well, in prison, in Japanese prison, they don't allow you to have any English books in. So at the time, the girl I was dating was really heavily into Christianity, and what she did was already was a born again Christian from high school. One of my friend's father was a pastor, and I used to fight a lot, and in after one of those big fights, he came and prayed for me, and I accepted Christ. I must have been very good at going to church for the first 3 4 months, and it was nice, and I really felt nice because I would walk into church and walk out feeling clean, like I really cleansed myself. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I felt like I was, I could walk away from bad things, I could walk away from fights, and then as Thursday, Fridays came around, I could feel my old self coming back until when I was at Saturday, I was like back to like fuck them, whatever. And then boom, Sunday comes, and I feel like it cleansed again. So it was a good process that I had. The only thing that kind of pulled me away from it was that there was a lot of things that I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand eye for an eye. If you get one eye gouge out, turn the other side. I couldn't understand. I don't know if it was a pastor that I was seeing, but I couldn't understand the fact that the world started from Adam and Eve, and there's blacks, Hispanics, Japanese, Koreans. So was there a Korean Adam and Eve? Or was a black Adam and Eve? How could we have all started in one? Incest is a very bad thing in the Bible. How can we have started from Adam and Eve? Then we're all causing incest. That means even Sarah is related to me somehow if we all started from Adam and Eve, So could understand that. And the big thing that really kind of made me not pull away, but kind of give me that little doubt about it was I presented a situation to the pastor, and I said that if there's this guy here, Mr. A, that lives his life perfectly, lives himself as a perfect person, takes care of his family, abides the law and everything, but never was introduced into Christ, never accepted Christ. And then you have Mr. B here that is a criminal, molests kids, murders many people, and then goes to prison for the rest of his life. Has nothing else, has another prisoner preach to him about the Bible. He learns about it, accepts Christ with all his heart. How does this person go to heaven and this person doesn't? I didn't, when I asked the pastor that, the only thing he could tell me was you got to go to Bible study. And I was like, man, this doesn't make sense, So after 3 months of, I would ask questions in mass. You know what I mean? It's like I was really into it. I was asking questions, and this guy felt really uncomfortable. I think the pastor. So I ended up just drifting away from it. Prison brought me back to it. Yeah, when I got to prison, when my girlfriend at the time sent in the Bible, it was weird, man. I would read the Bible and literally feel at ease, man. Then I started praying, and it was weird how when I prayed, like almost like I felt like my prayers were answered. I would pray for strength, and I would feel better the next day. And then there was a kid in my room that was crying all the time, and I remember praying that night when the night he was crying, saying that, hey, his name was Sano. I said, I prayed saying that, I'm fine, God. Can you give some of my strength to him so he feels better? And it was really weird, man, because the next day he was fine, and I felt kind of uneasy about my situation, And it was amazing how, reading the Bible, I was memorizing the scriptures, Well, I got some on my neck right now that really took to me that I never forgot. It was amazing how that shit, kind of helped me a lot, So
What
that's
what
how that
scripture is that?
happened. Right here, it's Luke, Luke 28:20, I think, and then Matthew 28:20. One, the Matthew one is God will be with you to the end of time, and then the Luke one is God will give you the strength enough to enough strength to conquer the serpent himself.
Wow.
So when I was actually memorizing pastures, yeah. So that's the scriptures that I memorized, and I felt, wow, I like these two. Yeah. So
It's funny. My coach Matt Rupert, he's the one that said that you're all that is man, right? And he actually told me the same thing that you just said. His one problem with his faith, because he does believe in God, but he said that the turning the other cheek thing, he just cannot accept it, like he just can't handle that. And it's just funny to hear you say that, because he said the same thing, man. And it used to bother me a lot personally, the fact that, like you just said, like the good person lived their life good but didn't know Christ, but then the other guy was evil, and then he believes and gets saved, And what helped me personally with that was one day I just kind of realized, I don't know how I realized it, but I used to struggle with that so much, But one day I just kind of realized, like, because I used to think about, like, what about people in Africa who never heard about God and they die, or whatever, just all kinds of those kind of thoughts, or somebody who's like mentally handicapped or something, like it doesn't make sense to me. And then one day I just realized, like, what does that have to do with me? Like, I'm going to die someday, and then I'm going to go face, Jesus, go see him and get judged. And I was like, I can't say that when I go, like, I just can't say, like, oh, what about that guy over there though? You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to be a good, you know what I mean? Like, I could just see God saying to me, like, hey, that's not you, So I don't know if that helps at all, but that
yeah,
was something.
that makes sense. But the only reason why, when I went into Christianity, I want to believe with all my heart, yeah. And when there's things that you cannot understand and people can't give you answers to it, I can't fake in my heart that I believe it. So what I wrote it off to was just as far as turning the other eye. That's way more holy than I am right now. And so I'm thinking that maybe I'm just not at that level yet. And that's maybe not something that God expects you to do, but it's that passion and that maturity that he wants you to aim for. Not that you're going to ever attain it, but that's a good thing to shoot for the sky, you know? Like you know, like that saying about everything happens for a reason? When something bad happens to you, like when the racquetball shot that I missed, the first thing you go is like, why? What happened? Why did I do to deserve this? What's wrong? You know, and and God knows why it happened. And God's sitting up there thinking, oh God, 12 years later you'll know. You gotta wait though. You know, and it's just, for him 12 years is a short time. But for us, 12 years is fucking eternity, man. And the shallowness that as we as human beings are, we want to know right now. I want to know now, not a year later, not a week later. I want to know right now. You know, that's the selfishness of the human being, and that's where I think God also has another thing that He wants you to have faith. You know, it's testing your faith and your patience. You know, but we want to know, but He knows, and He's going to show us in due time when we're ready. You know, when we're ready. I mean, if God told me in 5 years when I just started fighting that, okay, Enson, this is the reason why you missed that shot, I'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? It wouldn't make any sense, you know? So for me to fully understand why I missed that shot, it had to be 12 years, not 5 years, you know? So He has a plan, man. Have faith in that, and no matter what happens to you, you'll be able to look ahead and move forward, man. Your head up high.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, He knows. One more thing. This is you know, this is getting ridiculous because it's not necessary, but the other question you had about Adam and Eve, right? I'm like, it's super interesting. This is a very interesting subject to me personally. And I used to, you know, kind of study it a lot just because it was my, you know, I had those same questions, you know. But think about this. So if you don't believe in Adam and Eve, right, what is the other option?
Like the monkeys, humans came from monkeys, or
Yeah.
Wolves shot among humans down or something.
Yeah, well, so this guy, he presented this argument, you know, and I heard this once because it's like, wow, we all come from two people. That's, you know, that is kind of crazy. And you, like you said, that's incest, you know, that's kind of like, that doesn't make sense to me either. But this guy, he said to me, or not to me, but I listened to this guy talk, and he said, okay, you have two options. You know, one is that we all came from Adam and Eve. And so the Bible says that all the people come from two people, right? And all the dogs come from two dogs, and every kind of animal there is, all the cats come from two cats, right? They all come from two of the same kind. And you know, the other option though of evolution is that everything, all the dogs, all the cats, all the horses, all the birds, all the fish, all of the people, all the monkeys, all the giraffes, the elephants, everything, right? They all come from like a couple of germs or something like that, right? Like some kind of like a pile of dirt that got zapped with electricity, right? And so everything came from those two single-celled organisms. So I mean, what is less likely, you know? It's actually a lot less likely. Huh?
I never thought of that, man.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options on the table.
Well, you know, even if you think of this singling out human beings and thinking that, you know how that evolution shows that we've come from monkeys? It's like the only question I would have from that is, then why the fuck are there still monkeys there? Right?
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, and then there's nothing else either. There's nothing in between, right? There's just monkeys and there's people. It's like, wouldn't there have to be like billions of years of like things in between? Doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's only like it's A and Z. That's it. There's nothing in between. Huh?
But that's where we come from. You know, it's actually this is true. This is something you could research. But when you have kids, right? We kind of think to ourselves like, okay, when I have my wife or whatever, me and my wife have a child, the child gets double the DNA, right? Boom, you just got both of our DNAs. But the actual fact is, which doesn't make sense to me, but you actually lose DNA every single child, every single line or whatever genetically. We lose DNA. So when people, only have, like you said, like black kids or whatever, it's because their genes have gotten so limited that that's all they have left. You know what I mean? So originally, theoretically, Adam and Eve could have all the genes for all the races. So they could have been having, black kids and white kids and Chinese kids or whatever. I mean, that sounds kind of crazy, I know, but it is interesting, if you look into it and realize that we do lose genes, we don't gain them.
No, dogs are like that. Dogs are like that, though.
Are they
You can
really?
have two white dogs. Yeah, you can have two white dogs give out brindle and give out black dogs because in their genes, in their ancestry, they have those dogs. They have those colors. I'm gonna start breeding bully pit bulls next year.
Really?
So I'm learning on that. Yeah, we're gonna bring them into Japan, and I'm gonna start breeding bully pit bulls, man. I'm excited for that.
And so does the next generation, does it get more limited in any ways?
I don't, all I know is that if it's in the genes, you can pull those colored pups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it might be more extreme than human beings. Like if you have a little bit of, if you have a little bit of drop of Afro American in you, you're not going to have like a totally black kid come out. But the dogs are like that. You can actually have that come out.
yeah, right. Yeah, you have like a.
That'd be
Yeah.
funny, huh? You have two Japanese people, and then because there's like way back a lineage of Afro American, a totally like frizzy Afro American kid with black skin comes out. That'd be kind of funny, man.
Oh, the dad would be going, "What the fuck is going on
You know,
here?"
like, that'd be what the fuck, man.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I can't stop laughing about the monkey thing. Why the fuck are there still monkeys?
Check this out, man.
What is that, a snake?
See, python, man. This is my girlfriend's baby pet.
Oh wow. So did you guys just travel with that then?
No, no. These snakes are cool because they only eat once a week. So we just have somebody come in and give it a mouse, and it's good, man.
Oh, so the snake just stays in Japan all the time.
Yeah, he stays in Japan. It's cool as shit, though. Look at that.
Yeah, that's sick, dude.
Yeah. This thing will get, I think, 4 to 5 feet long.
Bro, we're related. We are related.
Why?
No, I'm just
Oh
joking.
yeah, we are. We
We're
are related. Thank Adam for biting that apple, man.
uh, so so after you got out of prison, is that when you went on your pilgrimage? Or you've done two of
Yeah,
them, right?
yeah, but too. The pilgrimage had like no relation to the prison. Didn't have any relation to pilgrimage. It was just when I heard of the pilgrimage, it's 880 miles. It's like to walk 880 miles. Kind of for me, I thought like No fucking way, man. So for me, it was like a challenge to build myself as a person, and I just thought that there was gonna in my 40 something years of life, I'm gonna experience suffering and struggles that I've never experienced. So I thought, as far as building myself as a person, that'd be another way. And that's the only reason why I did that, man. But it was epic, man.
Epic. So I mean, it was still just this. You're just focused on the spirit still.
Yes, 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 yes. So like something like for example, prison helped me appreciate how important my freedom is. What the pilgrimage helped me understand was that, man, even the simple things in life you need to appreciate. Yeah, that there's like so much things in life. Like when I went on the pilgrimage, I slept outside every day. I walked everything, and I didn't allow myself to buy food unless I could carry it. So there was like a span of like 4 or 5 days that I went without any food. So what the pilgrimage taught me was that a lot of the simple things in life that we take for granted is things that we should really appreciate. I believe in life there's like three circles. One circle is the circle of things that irritate you. Like traffic, obnoxious people, that kind of stuff. And then the second circle is things that really don't matter. Like, say that, the tree outside, or, even like my bed in my room, that kind of stuff really doesn't matter. And then the third circle would be things that make you happy, like um, eating good food, or watching a nice movie, or meeting a cool person, meeting a nice chick, I mean, those kind of things will make you happy. So what the pilgrimage is, it has changed those circles. Okay, for instance, the circle of things that irritate me got very small. So, like for instance, traffic used to irritate me. Traffic doesn't irritate me anymore. Why? Because I'm not walking. I'm listening to music. I got aircon on. Um, I don't need to walk 12 hours for the day. After I get to my place, what do I do when I go home? I don't walk home. I ride back home. So traffic never irritates me anymore. Obnoxious people hardly irritate me. So a lot of these things that were in the irritation circle goes into the circle of things that don't matter. Okay, now, so that circle of irritation gets smaller. The circle that didn't matter stays the same, because as much things that moved in to things that irritated me, there's a lot of those things that didn't matter that moved into making me happy now. Like for instance, something real simple that I always give the example of is like going to sleep at night. Say like last night when you laid into bed, what was your feeling when you laid into bed? Either like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm going to sleep, or oh, I got to get up tomorrow, or maybe you're excited about the podcast, that kind of stuff. But for me, because in the pilgrimage, every night after I walked, after 5 o'clock when the temple's closed, my whole mission was to find a place to sleep. Sometimes it was shitty, sometimes it was good, and good meaning like a covered bus stop. Shitty meaning right on the road where there's no cover really, and if it rained, I would have to get up and move. So now though, every single day, I mean, there's probably never a time in most people's lives that they ever worried about where they're going to sleep. They take it for granted that they always have somewhere to sleep. But after going to the pilgrimage and half the times not really being able to, sometimes walking 2 to 3 hours after the temple's closed just to find a place to sleep, I lie in bed every night, man, and I look at the ceiling above my head and think, if it rains, I'm not going to have to move. I look at the bed and how soft it is. I look at the blanket that I have to cover me, and every night when I go to sleep, as I'm lying down and pulling the covers over me, I got a huge smile in my heart, man. It's like I'm so happy, So there's a lot of things in life that I really took for granted that really give me joy right now. So that circle of things that make me happy, it's gotten bigger, So that's what the pilgrimage really helped me with. The pilgrimage has made me a much happier person, man.
How long? How long did it take to do that? I mean, you walked 880 miles.
Yeah, the pilgrimage takes anywhere from 90 days to 3 months. I took a month, 30 days to do it.
What?
So literally, that's literally walking. When I walked it, I walked about, I'd say about, I went on a real mission on how trying to finish it as fast as I could. I walked, I'd say close to like 16 hours a day.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's insane.
So I wouldn't have any sleep time. So what I would do was, it wasn't like after the temple's closed, I get somebody to sleep 9 to 6. I sleep and I get up and start walking. No, what I did was it was in the summer and it was so hot that what I did was I would walk. Temple's closed. Okay, if I got 100 kilos, which is about 3 days walking to the next temple, I would walk to the next temple. When it get like say 2 in the morning, I get a little bit tired. I'd find a bus stop or find somewhere to sit, and I would lay everything out, sleep, and it was so hot I couldn't sleep that long. So I would sleep maybe 2, 3 hours, wake up in a cold sweat. I mean, not cold sweat. Wake up in a whole sweat. I'm all wet, and then I would get up and I'd be up, pack my shit up, walk another 2 hours until I get tired. Okay, I'm tired. Lay down, sleep. That's how it was. I never got an 8 hour night. It was always walking a little bit till I got tired, and then when I found a good place, I would lay down and sleep. Sometimes I would walk all day.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I can't. I was gonna say no, not really, but yeah, it's fucking horrible, man. My
But
girlfriend's gonna do it in
yes.
July, June. She's gonna do it in June. So
I mean, ultimately, it makes you a better person, you said, though, right? Because now you appreciate your bed every night.
you have a lot of time to reflect on yourself. You're walking hours and hours a day. You know, if you say it's like you're talking about 12 to 15 hours of walking every day for at least 90 days. Yeah. The blisters, blisters. It's not that big a deal now. Blisters. When we played racquetball and you had blisters, you had to rest a day, or rest a couple of days, let it cool down. But you're walking on blisters, and you know what? I realized blister pain in a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is you're about to die. Blister pain will hit about 6 or 7, and people anticipate it getting worse, so they stop walking on it. They stop using the shoes. They won't, maybe like sports athletes won't run. But you know what? Blister pain doesn't go past 6 or 7. So if you keep walking on the blisters, it doesn't get any more painful. I didn't know that, but I learned that on the pilgrimage.
They just get to maximum just ripped off your feetness.
Yeah, well, sometimes you get the blisters. If you pop it and try and let it dry, and you keep walking with it, before that blister actually heals, you'll start forming a blister underneath that blister.
Oh my God! But you're not you're what you're saying is your feet aren't gonna fall off.
Yeah, it's not going to fall off, and it's not going to go to a point where it's 10 where you can't really walk physically. You can walk. Mentally, you might say, oh, my feet hurt, I cannot walk, but you actually can. It was neat, though, because more than the pain of the feet or the muscles, the biggest thing that I had pain with was the backpack, the weight of the backpack. That was horrible, man, the cramping in your shoulders. Oh, God.
Yeah, for 16 hours.
Yeah, the thing is real funny is, when people get shoes and they say, oh, these shoes are perfect for me, they're comfortable and everything. Get the best backpack, get the best shoe you got, put your shoe on your backpack and walk around, not 5 minutes around the store and say, this is good, I'll buy it. Walk around for 16 hours, that backpack ain't going to feel that good, and the shoe ain't going to be so perfect anymore, man.
Oh, oh man, that is good. That is a good story. You got a tattoo to represent that, right?
Yeah, right here, man, right on my leg.
And then I know you explained it. You've explained it before, but man, could you explain some of your tattoos, bro?
Oh my God, family and pride. These are on the these are on the palms of my hand because I believe when you're a baby and you can't walk or speak or even open your eyes, but you can clench your fist. You know, when, even a newborn baby, you put your finger in his hand, he'll squeeze your finger. And then you got someone who on the other end the spectrum of life when he's maybe has cancer and ready to die, and then they can't speak, so you want to ask them if they can hear you. You put your finger in their hand, say, you know, if you can hear, squeeze. I believe that because of that, the first power you have and the last power you have is clenching your fist. So what I believe is no matter what happens, I believe that I have family and my pride in my life that I can always hold close to my heart. Yeah. So that's why I have family and pride in the palms of my hands. Yeah. And then I don't know if you can see it this side, right here. These two tattoos right here. These tattoos don't mean anything when they're separate, but once they're put together, it's a symbol. It's a tattoo. It's a tattoo for God. Yeah. So what it is whenever I pray, I always pray to God. So whenever I put my two hands together, the two kanji will have the kanji of God, and that's who I pray to. You know? So that's my destiny for raise my new one.
You just
My
got that yesterday.
Yeah, my eternal bracelet, man. That's pretty cool, huh?
It's
My
the
neck, Yamato Damashi on my neck. Every breath I take, I want to breathe that spirit of the samurai. Here I have loyalty and unity. I believe the day that I ever break my loyalty and unity for the people that I care about is the day that you can put a knife and cut right through that kanji, which would probably cut my neck and kill me. So I wouldn't ever, break that. I got lie and backstab on the bottom of my feet. Every day when I get up, I'm walking and stomping those things because those are the two things I really don't like. And dude, I got so much, man.
you just blasted head to toe.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this last one I just got. Good, let's touch here, man. Your hands must feel cold on her. Yeah, so my tattoos I love them, man.
How long have you been doing the bracelets? That's how you finance your mission, going and helping out, right?
Yes, the bracelets. I've done it. I've done it for 5 years now. But the first 2 years was pretty much a hobby and just learning how to make them and just making them for myself and friends. And it's only become a business in the last 3 years. Yeah. And a lot of people mistake the company. It's not a charitable company. It's not a nonprofit organization. It's my company, and it helps me earn money for my life. And it just so happens that a big part of my life is helping the people of North Japan. So a lot of people like to say, it's a charity. If you buy a bracelet, it's gonna go to the people of the North. No, I mean, to be 100% honest with you, the money that you pay for a bracelet isn't going to the people of the North. There's one step before that. It comes to me, and I choose what to do with it. I might buy a fucking hamburger, I might put gas in my car, but a lot of it, maybe 70 or 80% of it, will go to help the people in the North. So to be really honest about it, that's what the company is about. Yeah. So you buy a bracelet, I guarantee you a good portion of that profit will go to someone in the North. So pretty much, if you're buying a bracelet, I like to say this: if you're buying a bracelet, you're also a part of the movement up north. You're a part of touching people. You're part of creating smiles on the faces of people that lost everything in the tsunami. So, yeah, you're a part of the missions if you even purchase a bracelet. If you go onto my webpage, destinyforever.com, and you go into the media section, and you look up the Yamato Damashi missions, you can click on all the missions that we've done. I've done 39 missions already, and the next one will be 40. But I like to document it, not for me, but for the people who have purchased things and have supported it, even people who've just made straight up monetary donations. I'd like to, they can't be there, man. I mean, it would be best if they could be there and see it happen, but they can't. So that's the least I could do is actually document the moment so they could see what they're being a part of.
How did you get into making those bracelets? Because I mean, I've seen them and they're beautiful bracelets, man. And how did you get into that? And do you feel like you've mastered it at this point with 5 years of experience? Because what do they say, 10,000? I know Kurt Osiander likes to say 10,000 hour rule, right? After 10,000 hours of doing something, you become a master of it. Do you feel like you're a master of that craft?
No, I consider being a master is someone who's knows everything about it, but I'm still learning about it. So some people might consider me a master because I make it so well, but as for myself, I think there's still things I'm trying to explore. There's still ways I'm trying to actually make it better. So I think I'm still trying to master the art. But the reason why I got into it is because in Japan they believe that these bracelets protect you. So if a bracelet of like a stone breaks or crystal breaks, or if the bracelet breaks, they believe that it's taken something in place of you that's supposed to come to you, like something bad, like a sickness or an accident or something. And what really got me hooked on it was I totaled 2 Mercedes-Benz. And both Mercedes-Benz that I totaled, the only injury I got was a fat lip from the airbag. But both my bracelets broke. The one in Japan, I didn't realize my bracelet broke. I went home. They towed my car because I couldn't even find the left wheel. The car, it was gone. And then they towed my car, and then it was like, they came, and then I'm sitting at home, and I'm like, oh, shit, where's my bracelet? Damn. And, I really liked the bracelets. I really felt good with them on because they're power stones too. So I called the towing company, and I said, hey, can you check the car? I think there might be a bracelet in there. They found it. They found it under the gas pedal, and it was broken. Okay? Then I was like, holy shit, wait a minute. I didn't get hurt, and the bracelet broke. Shit. Then the second accident was in Hawaii when I totaled my mom's Mercedes-Benz. It was another Benz. And man, to total a German car, you really got to be going, you got to really have a crazy accident to total those. So that one, same thing. I got an injury with I got a fat lip from the airbag. I had 2 airbags come out of me on that one. And then what was weird was the bracelet was broken, but the bracelets were broken where a bead right here was broken. And then the funny thing was I noticed that in here, right here where the bracelet was, there was a huge round bruise that was on my wrist. And I was thinking, whoa, that's like the impact of a bead. So what I'm imaging is something hitting the bracelet so hard that it pushed into my skin so hard that it damaged the bracelet and broke the bead. And these stones are straight up real stones, there's no, it's all natural stones, so they're really hard. So I'm thinking to myself, man, whoa, wait a minute, something, I don't know if it was a piece of window or it was a metal or what it was, something hit that wrist area so hard that it not only broke the bead, but it pushed it into my wrist so deep that it bruised it. I'm thinking, if the bracelet wasn't there, I wonder if that thing would have severed my wrist or cut my wrist. And again, I'm like, holy shit. And I swear I really got stuck on it. I'm getting more into it now because I've realized that these stones that we use are power stones. So each and every stone has its own property. Like, for instance, the one I have on now, this is a hematite This is good for body balance. This is good for body pains, blood circulation. And then you got this one right here is a black onyx. These are good for like strength and stamina, and it negates negative energy. So, you know, they all have different meanings. So in Hawaii, when we make custom made bracelets, so even on destinyforever.com, people will call in and they'll tell us, either they'll know their stones and say, I want this stone, this stone, this stone, and this stone, and we'll custom make one for them. Or they won't know and they'll say, hey, I want one. I just lost someone in the family. I'm having a hard time getting over the loss. I want something for, you know, stress and inner strength. And then also recently I've been real tired. I've had arthritis, so I want one for energy and maybe for arthritis, and we'll combine and brace it for you, you know. And believe it or not, you know, I mean, whether it works or not, we've had so many testimonials and people, I mean, even to a point of baffling myself, you know, I'm still new to this Power Stone thing. So I'm still like, you know, hey, this is the properties they say it carries. Okay, here we go, let's try it. And then I will always tell my customers, man, if it works, come back and tell me, man, because I want to know. And me and Sarah, you know, my girlfriend Sarah, man, we've been having people come back and, I mean, we like pretty much high five each other under the table, like, holy fuck, it helped, man. Whoa. You know, it's still, we're not like, yup, we knew it worked, yup, we knew it was going to work. We're still pretty much at that stage, like, holy shit. We've had numerous people come back and say, like, their arthritis doesn't hurt anymore. There was a girl that had all, like, rash around her eyes from scratching, and she wanted one from allergies and itch. So I looked it up. Okay, allergies and itch. Okay, this certain stone, this rose quartz. Okay, this stone. Put one together, man, and they came in like a week later, man. Her rash was down, and then she went and told her mom that night she wore the bracelet. She told her mom that I wasn't itchy last night. I got good sleep, and I mean, fuck, man. I mean, that you don't know how much that means to me. And sorry when we hear that, man. I mean, I'm a believer now because of all these testimonies. When I made it, I was like, okay, this is cool. The bracelet protects you. That's what I believe because it's protected me. As far as the Power Stones, I'm still new to it. But hey, this is what they say. Okay, you want that property? Okay, you know what? This is supposed to be good for it. I hope it helps. But now I'm coming, you know, I'm to a point where I've got enough testimonials that whether it's placebo or whatever it is, what is it? Placebo. If it's rather placebo. See, she corrects, she helps me out. But whether it's placebo or whatever it is, man, I don't give a fuck what it is. If it's helping you, man, I'm stoked, man. So that's where we are now with the Destiny Forever, you know. I mean, it's another, I'm coming to believe that my path in life now is to help people. Not only the people in the North, even these bracelets are not only providing you with something that's pretty cool to wear. I mean, you can wear it for just sports, or you can wear it for swimming. You can wear it for going out. Make it, or some people we use it for wedding. Instead of rings, they make bracelets. You know, I mean, but it's also a health thing, man. I've become a believer in that. They also believe that the maker, the energy of the maker, goes into the bracelets. So all the things I believe that I've built up in my fighting career, all the strength in my spirit that I've created in my life experiences, I believe goes into the bracelets too. So it's even more special that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Like how you said that your life is like a river and you just flowed to it and it just took you to a beautiful place. Cause it's like, I mean, it's just crazy because you're a, you know, MMA champion who's fought, you know, the toughest guys in the world, and you're from Hawaii and you went, you know, now you're in Japan and you went on a pilgrimage. You've been to prison before, you know what I mean? You do these missions in Fukushima, and now you make bracelets, you know, you make jewelry. It's like insane. Like
I know. And then you look at me and Sarah, it's like, okay, she's from New Zealand. I'm from Hawaii. We're together living in Japan. It's like kind of like my whole life is like a flow of the river, and that leaf fell in that area and brought that leaf to this leaf kind of thing. You know, it's like, who could ever imagine I'd meet a girl from New Zealand and we ended up living in Japan, you know?
It's just simply destiny forever. That's what it,
Perfect. That was good. I should have said.
man, that's great, man. It's such a good tale, man. Your life is just like you said you're gonna be traveling all over the world, right? When we first started talking, I actually wasn't recording that. But you said you're going to Guam, you're going all over the place, right?
My life is crazy, man. My life is crazy. Me and Sarah are actually looking for times where we can be more settled and kind of have a routine coming home, you know. And we thought we have it now. Like, okay, we got home, we can chill now. It's like, oh, not really. The December 28th, we went up north, spent a day up north, passing out goods. We're here now. Okay, cool. But oh, wait a minute. 6, I just scheduled a trip to Guam. So me and Sarah go to Guam 6, 7, 8. Come back on the 9th. We go up to Fukushima, up north again for a big mission. Come back on the 11th, and she leaves for Thailand to train from the 12th. I go to Sapporo to meet some friends on the 15th. We both come back around the 20th, and then on the 28th we go to. Oh no, the 24th I go to San Diego for 3 days. Come back to Japan for 1 day, then I take off to Hawaii for 3 days and go to Tucson, Arizona for 4, and then fly back to Hawaii for a month and then come back here. My life's been like that, man. It's pretty much the longest I'll be in one place is like a week or 2, man.
Wow, that's I can't imagine, man. I mean, that's kind of cool, but that seems really draining.
Well, about 110,000 miles a year I fly.
Is your girlfriend? She's a fighter then?
Yeah, she's training to fight. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully in a year you'll hear her name coming out. Hopefully in Risen or even the UFC possibly. She's Muay Thai right now. She's fighting amateur Muay Thai. I think she's ready for a pro debut. She's starting to train more MMA, and so yeah, she's definitely going to give it her shot, man. How far she makes it is going to be her destiny, and she's going to give it 100%, and we'll see what happens. Sarah Jane McCann, yeah. So
Sarah Jane McCann.
Yeah, remember that name, everybody, because hopefully you see it in the UFC someday.
Yeah, man, that would be that's awesome, man. I'll definitely follow her.
Yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, she's on Facebook and Instagram too? She puts her training and stuff?
Yeah, I got all that going for sure. Got her adventures in Thailand too. And that's crazy, you know, Thailand, you know, when I first brought her to Thailand, I was like, she's talking about she wants to fight and shit. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you really want to fight? Okay, we'll see. Okay, we'll take you to Thailand. Because that place fucking sucks, man. They train so hard there. It's like I had Kid Yamamoto run away in 3 days, man.
No
Kid
way.
Yamamoto, 3 days later, he's calling me saying, Enson, I want to fucking come back home, you know? I mean, it's that hard up there. They run 10 kilos in the morning. They hit 2 to 3 hours of mitts. Then you got time to break. And in the evening at 3, they start on a 5 kilo run. And then they hit mitts for another 2-3 hours. And then they do neckties for about another hour. So it's like every day, one after every day. And it's hot. And it's like the conditions out there are like back in the day when Kid went out there, it was like there was no beds. You're laying in a room with like 5 or 6 guys, and it's like there's no carpet. There's like straight up dirt. There's no shower. You shower outside in there's a little like a well that you just dump water on yourself. I mean, it's like hardcore like training. So you know, when she first wanted to go up, I said, okay, we'll go up. Fuck that place. I'm staying in Bangkok. I'm gonna lift weights in Bangkok. I'll have you stay out there. I'll go out every so often, bring you back for a break or something, you know, get some massages, everything. And so I said, okay, yeah, probably this one trip she'll be done with Thailand, man. And then after the one trip, it's like she's asking when she's going back again. So I'm like, whoa, okay. So she's been back like 3 or 4 times already. And she's going back again, this time by herself. And you know what, man? It's no fucking walk in the park. It's no paradise up there. Where she goes, there's nothing. The event of the day is going to 7-Eleven, or I mean of the week. Once a week, maybe some of the boys will go to 7-Eleven, and that's like the excitement. There's nothing else out there. So it's not a vacation at all, man. I mean, you hear of fighters going to Pattaya or training out there. Got the beaches, got the bars, got the strip joints. There's nothing out where we train. We train with Santi and Inoue out in Pathum Thani, so it's out in the country. Yeah, that's where I used to train when I fought. So that's the hookup that I've introduced to her. That she's part of their family now.
Oh, that's where you would go to train Muay Thai?
Yeah, that's where I went. I helped build that gym. We supplied some money to build that gym up. So it's kind of like a part of me, that gym. Yeah, I've actually contributed to the success of that gym. And Santi Inoue, he's the one he's one of the few Thai guys that beat Raymond Decker. But Santi Inoue acknowledges that, and he's like a brother to me. So we're family. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's awesome. That Raymond Deckers there's another legend right there. that guy's awesome.
Oh, and John Wayne Parr used to train out of Santian's gym.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude.
When I first went to Thailand to train there was this skinny white kid that was like really helping me out a lot, teaching me a lot of stuff, and I find out it was John Wayne Parr.
No way.
Yeah, funny, huh? He'll say the same thing because we didn't know who we were, and he's just helping me out, and we became friends. And it's like later on when we actually left Thailand, we're like, oh shit, whoa, John, you're kind of huge, and he's like, oh, Enson, you're kind of famous.
Dude, that is awesome.
I know, it's cool, huh?
That's such a cool story, man. Oh man, yeah, John Wayne Parr is awesome, man. I love that guy. He started that. Have you seen his promotion, the Caged Muay Thai?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he started a Muay Thai promotion in a cage and it's got MMA gloves, and there's just no ground fighting. So it's like MMA without the ground fighting.
Whoa, you should fight in that.
Hey, I bet you John Wayne Parr will put her in, bro. One call from Inoue.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's close to New Zealand, I think, right? Australia. Hopefully that's correct.
Not really, but they're kind of like always classified as together. Lucky you're not here. She couldn't reach. She'd probably choke your neck for saying that.
Would you? Isn't there like koala bears and stuff in both of those places, and crazy snakes? Uh-oh.
She's just being nice because we just met.
Don't you ever call me an Aussie again.
Yeah, Aussie, fuck you, cunt. Oh, sorry. They used that, so it's not that big a deal. But where we're from, it's like you shiver when the C word's used. Though, but it's like...
Oh my God, I can't believe that happened with John Wayne, man. Let me ask you a few questions here, just from my friends here that wanted me to ask you just a couple things. My buddy Jesse Davis, he wanted to know if you have any advice for a young fighter. What would you, if you were going to give advice to a young, coming up fighter, amateur, trying to come up, go big time or whatever, what would you tell them?
Okay, I would say one on the ground. A lot of sparring. And when you do a lot of sparring, try to always abandon power. So abandon your strength. Try to roll.
So a lot of technical rolling, sparring.
Yeah, because I'm a ground guy, so I wouldn't really give you much advice standing because my standing, as you can tell, wasn't like the most beautiful thing. So as far as if I give a fighter advice, it'd be about their ground. A lot of rolling, man. A lot of time on the mat, man. And then when you spar, try to abandon your power, man.
Check that, Jesse. Let me see. Jimmy J wanted me to ask you, who's the best black belt you and your brother ever promoted?
Barrett Yoshida.
Barrett Yoshida.
Oh, by far, man. That guy's better than me. He better be good. I better say he's the best if he's better than me.
Does he run one of your schools?
No, he runs the arena MMA in San Diego. That's where I'm gonna go up there and actually in February. Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
well, yeah, he runs at MMA in San Diego arena. It's called the Arena. It's an awesome facility, awesome place to train. So he runs a jiu-jitsu there.
how many schools do you have, like affiliate schools of yours? Because I know you said you're super happy with like your Guam school, right? Is like amazing. Uh, you got a bunch of them, right? There's one up here in Vancouver.
There's two in Guam, and they're run by Steve Roberto. One of my black belts. It's like one of the best schools I've been around. He's done what he's done for Guam. The jiu-jitsu there, that school is probably way better than what I could have done. There's also one affiliate. It's also purebred. It's in Saipan, Trench Tech. So that one's also yeah under me. We have one in Japan. It's purebred Omiya. Then we have there's one. It's not a pure. I guess it is kind of like a purebred gym, but it's a affiliate. It's fisticuffs and it's actually more boxing, but it's boxing slash MMA. Where Leonard Gabriel runs it. He works with Sarah and her boxing. He worked with me on my boxing a lot. So that's an awesome school. That's in Vancouver, Washington. I consider Arena because Barrett's there. Arena in San Diego is also affiliate to me. What else is there? Grappling Unlimited. You know, Egan Inoue school. My brother. So I go down. I didn't go down as much as I could, but I want to try and go down more to help the guys there, the MMA guys. Last time I was in Hawaii, I stopped them and helped them train a little bit. Um, the gym in Thailand is also an affiliate that is a Thailand gym that is run by Santianoy. It's only Muay Thai, but it's also an affiliate. There's also a guy in Canada, Mike Martel. He's he's like almost like a purebred Canada. I go up there and do seminars every so often. What else is there? That's it, huh? That's about it, I think, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I had Andrew Alexander. He wanted me to ask you about the Pride Days, bro. I think we covered that, bro.
Pride's awesome, man. Knees to the head, soccer ball kicks. They let the fights go, let the warrior come on in the fighters. Miss those days, man. I think it might be back though. I mean, hopefully Risen will, you know, produce some good fighters and move away more from that circus effect and have more of the legitimate fighters come into play. Hopefully, it was a good start though. The last Risen, I enjoyed it.
You liked it? You're pretty happy with it?
Yeah, there was a lot. You know, Akibono Sap was kind of stupid, and Gabby Garcia's fight was really like I don't even think both of them should have even been in an MMA ring. Even Ishii's fight was kind of sketchy. I don't know what's the story behind that. Even the heavyweight the tournament, I think that the fighters weren't even the best fighters around. I mean, King Mo, as we know, King Mo is a good fighter, but not like the best fighter. Like he looked like in that event. So yeah, I think they could have got better fighters, but it's a start, man. It was a good show. It was interesting. It was exciting. As far as the matchmaking, I think could have been better. But Japan likes that circus little style. Like unlimited size. Like I fought Mark Kerr. He was 60 pounds heavier than me. That kind of stuff. So it's a little different. I like the 10-minute rounds. I like the soccer ball kicks. So overall, yeah, I think it's a good start. It got a lot of people in Japan excited. So hopefully, MMA Japan will be coming back. I think they have another event already set in April, so looks good.
Yeah, I hope so, man. My favorite fights are from Pride. I mean, I thought that was the best MMA ever.
Yeah. Epic, huh?
Yeah, it was just it was just something that was different about it. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but like you said, it's epic. It was more like who's the man kind of thing. Whereas now, I don't know, it's just not as interesting, you know? It's easy to just be not interested in MMA the way it is now. It's kind of like, whatever, I don't really care, you know? But back then it was so legendary. It was like, dude, this is like this means something, you know, and these guys are somebody, you know what I mean? These guys are in here like doing this blood sport thing or whatever, you know, to see who the man is, you know?
Pride was pretty epic, huh?
Yeah, and I think probably a part of that has to do with like there weren't really weight classes too. I mean, there's a lot, right? There's a lot to it, so
Yeah, yeah. And even the way they didn't really stop fights, man. That's awesome.
yeah, it was more uh, about fighting and martial arts than a sport, right? It wasn't a sport. You know, I kind of like that actually about the presentation of Risen. I felt like it kind of, even though it's a little circusy, it's kind of martial arts, right? It's a little more martial arts feel than sport feeling like the UFC is. I don't like the sport thing, man.
Oh, the only thing I was disappointed with Risen was is they had that fag Takada like as a spokesman. That guy's literally a fag, man.
Dude, is he the guy that went like this and he was like, oh, and came out like
Yeah.
with his shirt off and was like totally being crazy? Is that who that
That
guy
guy's a
was?
fucking pro wrestler. He's a pro wrestler, and he fought some fake fights in Pride, man. That guy is a disgrace to MMA, man.
Is he the guy though
He's,
that I'm talking about that came out with the drums and was like,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, that's him.
Dude, me and my best friend we were like, what the hell is this guy doing, dude? Like it looked like
No, no,
ridiculous.
it's a businessman. He's a big name here in Japan. He's an actor now. He's got a big name from pro wrestling. He did some fights that are real, you know. So he has a name. I mean, if you have him walking through a crowd and have me walking through a crowd, he'll be recognized a lot more than me. So that's probably what they looked at, you know, as someone that has a big name that's a real clean name. You know? His wife is a famous actress. But man, for as far as martial arts, man, that guy has no business being in the ring telling people like, "Are you gonna fight? Are you ready?" You know, I mean, it's like, dude, you didn't even know what it means to be ready, and you're asking people if they're ready. I have an incident on the street where he was getting attacked by one of the notorious gangs in Japan, and I helped him, man. So the story goes where I'm in a club where my students do security. I see him in the club. He comes, says hi to me. And I'm like, okay, hi, whatever. We're on a high, yeah, hello, good relationship, but not like a party with him at all. But we're okay, hi, shake his hand, everything. About an hour later, there's a big ruckus up on the top. This is a basement. The club is in the basement. So I hear on the top, I'm like, okay, oh shit, there's something going on. I got to check on my students. And one of my students that was at the club at the time was Ricky Fukuda. He's a UFC fighter. Well, he fought in the UFC a couple times. So Ricky's up there, so I'm like, oh shit, worried about him. So I go upstairs and check. I see this huge I see a couple girls on the ground. They fall into the ground. I see a huge mob of somebody like chasing people. And then I look and there's two guys and they run to the back of the back street. So I follow it. I go to the back. There's one guy on the ground getting his head kicked in. And there's one guy standing up screaming frantically, stop, help, help, and shit. And I look and it's Takada. And this guy's literally screaming like a girl, calling for help. And you know, I'm thinking, as he's calling for help, his friend's head is getting kicked in. I'm like, you're not going to help your friend. You know, he's afraid to physically help his friend because they might turn on him, which probably would have happened. But he'd rather stay safe and scream and scream and scream and not do anything about it. Then I'm looking at that, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And then all of a sudden, the guy who's getting kicked gets up, breaks away. He's all bleeding, and he's running down the street past me. And the mob is chasing him, the gangsters. And then Takada comes running after the mob, screaming like a bitch, help me, help me. He sees me, and he directs it to me. He goes, Enson, help me. These guys are crazy. They're going to kill us. Is exactly what he said to me in Japanese. So I'm like, oh shit. And I know half of these gangsters because I'm notorious in the gangster world. So I'm over there. I'm like, okay, now they're in these. You know how the shop has like a bunch of trees on the side? Those trees are all knocked over, and they're in that area. And this guy's getting pummeled again. So I'm looking at that, and this has been going on for like 10 minutes now. And I'm thinking, holy shit. So Takada's screaming, like literally that, like screaming and stop, stop, help me, somebody not doing anything himself. So I'm over there, okay, fuck. So I run in and I grab one of the guys, kind of pull him off, and then they had their car that was crashed into a wall because when they were chasing Takada, they crashed their car into the wall and jumped on and just started attacking him. So there's a van, so I throw the guy in the van, tell him, leave. I said, so I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. I'm helping Takada and I'm helping them because I'm telling them cops will be coming soon. Get out of here. Get out, grab another guy, drag him off, throw him in the van. In the meantime, that other guy I just brought in is out and running and going at it again. So I'm trying to pull these guys off to a point where as I'm pulling them off, the cops come. These guys see the cops, they jump into the car, high-speed chase, disappear. That guy, the rugby guy, he was on a national team for rugby. And he was going out drinking with Takada. Well, he had a fractured cheekbone. He's getting interviewed by the cops about what happened. Takada does not tell me thank you and disappears from the scene and is gone. Since then, I don't get a thank you from him. I don't get an Enson, thank you for what you did. Thank you for your help. Nothing. Never talked to him since. And that guy, I mean, that's straight up my confirmation. That guy's a fucking pussy, man.
He's a fag, bro. What a fag.
The thing is, if he came and talked to me at Risen and he wanted to shake my hand, I'm not that type of guy that would shake your hand if I'm not good with you. If I have something that bothers me about you, I'm not going to go to the motion because for me, a handshake is an agreement that all's good, man, you know? So, I mean, I can see it happening where he tries to shake my hand and I look at him and I'll tell him, before I shake your hand, don't you have something to say to me about that night on the street, man? I mean, you got to tell me thank you or say thank you for your help or something, you know?
Yeah.
And even then, I might not shake your hand because if it doesn't make me feel better, I'm not going to shake your hand, you know? So, that's a situation that I don't look forward to, and it's going to probably happen. But I have a good relation with Sakakibara, but with Takada, it's a little different. Yeah. I just don't think he's a good representative, and I don't think he should be. I mean, it's like me coming out and trying to represent myself as like one of the big singers in Japan when I have never sung before, you know. And I feel that way about Takada. That's the only thing about Risen. It was good. Everything was interesting, except that fucking fag should not be the spokesman, man. Straight up.
Straight up, man. He's super intense about it, bro, with his little drum thing.
He loves it. You can tell he's a fucking ham, man. He loves that I'm the man kind of shit, man. He loves that stuff, man.
I was like, who is this dude? I was like, I didn't know what was going on when he was doing that. I was like, what the hell is happening right now? I mean, he was like, ah, like so intense.
Yeah, in my book 2, there will be that you know that story I just told you?
Yeah.
It's going to be in book 2.
Sick. Yeah, I can't wait for the second book, bro.
It's going to be a heavy one, man. It's going to have the pilgrimage, the prison term, everything.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait, bro. Freaking, dude, I almost got you out to like 4 hours right now, bro.
See, I told you it was going to be way better, man.
Bro.
This is way better.
I think it might actually be better, bro.
When you put this out, you might want to put it out in parts, yeah?
Oh, really?
That way I think people will be more in tune to listen to it. Like if we put out a 4-hour one and I can plug it on my social media, I don't know if people are going to sit down for 4 hours, huh? You might want to make one part 2, part 3, part 4 or something, you know, whatever you decide. But that's my suggestion, man, to make it shorter podcast. And then you can even plug in the next one. We'll talk about this, you know.
Sweet, dude. Yeah. I'll do that. Because I got the video. So what I'll do is I'll publish this one, but then I have an editing tool so that I could cut it up, and then I'll publish the separate pieces as well. And then
Okay.
I'm going to publish it on the audio as well too. So it'll be on audio if anybody wants to just
Whenever
listen.
you do any publishing of it, just shoot the link to me, and I'll just blast it on my social media. Yeah.
Cool, bro. I will, dude. And I know what's next because you just said we're going to do this again, bro. That's all I need right there, man. That's all I need. So I love you, man. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time and your girlfriend too. Thank you, Sarah, for helping set this up and giving me your man for a while. Yeah, I really appreciate it a lot.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you. All right, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, bro. All right, we'll talk to you later, man.
All right, my man. Thank you, brother. Good night.
All right.